So now you're in this world of books, and I assume that you love it.
Yes.
I really hope you were going to say yes on that. That wasn't even,
Yes, Mark.
yeah,
I'm very happy.
yeah. Prove it, prove it. No.
It's time for Gavin Doodle.
Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. It's a Thursday afternoon. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon here on the East Coast. I am Mark Hoffman of Studio Hoffman. Today we have on special guest Benjamin Phillips. Let's talk about Benjamin Phillips for a second. Benjamin Phillips is an amazing illustrator. He's out of the UK, I believe. We're going to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Does this best way I can, I described it maybe as a little bit gritty earlier. Like there's something kind of like raw about the line work, about the coloring. You know, it's like a little bit muted. It feels vintage in sort of its approach, but also sort of current in its aesthetic, etc. And so this is that book, Alte Zachen, also known as Old Things, by Ziggy. I'm gonna probably massacre this, Hanor, something like that. But Benjamin Phillips is on today. I'm going to let him in a second. So we will talk. He's done a variety of different kidlit things, etc. This is the sketch I'm going to go for today. It's a dog that's got a city shirt. That's it. So let me switch to me. Hey, everybody. Hey, how's everybody doing? Nice to see y'all. I got my shirt unbuttoned a little because it's a little warm. Trying to look cool. So, as a reminder, stuff is going up on YouTube every Monday, generally. Wink, wink, wink. We try our best. So you can see past ones being put up from Gavin Doodle as well. If you're interested in mentorship, my wife just posted a thing on my story about that. Again, I've gotten a few folks that have written. There are quite a few folks that have reached out saying, hey, we're interested. Just as a reminder to everybody, there is a 3-tiered payment system. It's a question of whether you want 1 session, 2 sessions, or 4 sessions. And if you just DM me, I'm happy to relay that. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let our special guest in here. Let's see if I can get this. Hold on one second. I noticed there's a little paper that I had wedged underneath my camera. There we go. That's a little better. And so let me see if I can get folks in here. And I'm going to put Ask Us Anything in the comments. Assuming it lets me type it in there. There we go. Ask us anything, and then I will invite in our guest. So, here we go. In the meantime, hi everybody.
Hello, Matt.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Now, remind me, you are in the UK, right?
Correcto. I'm
Where?
down on the south coast in England in a town called Hastings. Well, I'm in St Leonard's, but my studio is in Hastings.
Okay.
But they're basically the same place.
You caught me off guard. I knew that I was going to, and it's probably the same for you, that the accent was going to be exciting, but you caught me off guard with correcto, adding the other one correct. That just got me correcto. Well, thank
I
you
didn't
for.
even realize I said it. Just,
It's good.
yeah.
I like it. I'm going to use it. So today we're going to be chatting and whatnot, but I want to say thank you, first of all, for joining me. Big fans of yours. I've been a big fan of your uh, work for some time, and in particular, your aesthetic. This, like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out the right word because gritty is not the right word for it, but there's something that's like, the best way I could say is raw. Like it feels um, not over processed. It feels like it's like straight from your hand. It feels a little bit like it's journalistic in a way, but in a like not necessarily a cartoony element, but it's not like super realism at points. And so like I've always enjoyed that sort of approach and have tried to get my work closer to that so it doesn't feel so like tight and narrow. But I absolutely appreciate the stuff that you do, and so thank you.
Well,
Start there.
thank you for saying so. It's appreciated.
Um,
Um, hmm.
I was going to say, will you introduce yourself and tell us what you do, who you are, and what you do?
Well, I'm Benjamin Phillips, and I am an illustrator predominantly, but I also work as an artist in the respect that I make ceramic works as well. And but the majority of the work that I'm doing these days is in books. So between graphic novels and picture books, and sort of more of a space between those two things seems to be where I'm making work at the moment. But yeah, I, uh, I graduated from an illustration course back in 2009, and since then I've just kind of gone where the work's taken me. I didn't necessarily think that I'd be working in publishing
What
out of the gate.
what did you think you would be doing if like at that point in time when you graduated? What did you think the path was going to be?
I it was a different time then. Like I felt like that I could kind of make visual work within the music industry predominantly. So I was working with bands
All right.
and yeah, making record designs and working with small independent labels and having just like good relationships with the musicians as well and these lyric writers and trying to kind of create work which really mirrored these small bands.
Were you going out to concerts constantly at that point?
Yeah, and like I was studying in Brighton, which has like a good music scene and a lot of like cool little bands coming out of that place as well. And it was kind of the time of like that kind of I don't know. It was like a sort of new folk revival thing going on, and there were a lot of bands that I was into, and it felt like there was a place to kind of make work within that, but raw and
Yeah, that was around the time that like CDs sort of shifted away like completely. It was in that like 2009, like early 2010s, and then it was all digital for the most part at that point. So it's not
yeah,
surprising whether you wanted it to or not that the work was not the same after that.
sure. And just like a lot of like small labels were sort of closing around that time and have
Yeah.
done then. But yeah, I did the odd book project, but it's only really been since like 2021 that I've been doing much more work, which are like long form illustrated books. And this, I feel very kind of comfortable in this like area now. But I'm
Yeah.
happy here.
It wasn't something that you already thought like, hey, this is something I want to do. It just sort of landed in your lap kind of situation, or is it?
The opportunity. So Ziggy, who you mentioned, who wrote Altazak, and she reached out. That's the one. She reached out over Instagram, and we had a back and forth about trying to make something together. Because she's in an interesting position that she actually runs the publishing house, Cicada Books.
Oh,
So she
okay.
puts out some of her own books, but predominantly other.
Oh, someone got an in right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good position to be in.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I've seen a couple of books come out recently in Kidlit that are like written by agents and by editors and things of the sort, and it's like, oh, okay, you go out there and you sell that one hard because it's you know what you're doing with that. But so today, excuse me, get that out of my chest. We're going to be drawing. We're going to be chatting. It's really meant to be a conversation. So honestly, wherever this thing goes, I'm willing to go. It's a question of, you know, if topics, I tend to get a little like, I tend to end up being a therapist partway through where we start talking the meaning of art and like how it attached to you as your childhood and et cetera. But if it goes too far, just let me know. Time is precious. So of course I want to be, honor your time. And if at any point, I mentioned this to you before, at any point you want to go, don't hesitate to say, hey, I'm done, or I got to wrap up, and we'll go back to our faces and send you off in style. But before we start, I need to know two things. My wife, I have to stop. My lovely wife is upstairs, and she is taking notes on all of this.
okay.
She does every time. And the couple of things that we need to know is, one, what are you going to make? And then two, what are you going to make it with? I.e., are there brands, are there materials that are specific that you're going to use tonight?
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to draw. I've got some materials and stuff laid out, but I kind of like turning up with maybe a few ideas in my head
Okay.
Do you want me to actually like show you some of the materials I'll be working with? Or?
That'd be amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For the folks that always like, I look at your work and I have a sense of what I think it's going to be material wise, but I have a feeling there's going to be a surprise in there. So that'd be great.
Right. I can do a little flippery. So I've got some charcoals, and these are just like willow charcoal.
Yep.
It's this sort of stuff. I've managed to pick up a piece of tape on my hand on the way. And I've got some different inks. This is from Cornelison's in London, just by the British Museum. Just really nice old inks. So I've got some different tonal inks. But I also just really like working with box standard Quink ink, like Parker Quink, just like fountain pen refill. And I just got like some charcoal sticks, and I've got some pens around as well. I like the rote ring pens, like the 0.7. This guy.
So when you add color, what are you adding color with then? Is that just watercolor?
So colors, I've got these lots of these Winsor and Newton little pot inks. So these things.
Oh yeah, okay.
These are the classics. But I also have the Winsor and Newton watercolor set as well.
Ooh, the little travel set.
Yeah, I got the travel one, and I got the bigger boy one over here. But my studio is just full of stuff.
Hey, your studio is nice. Is like cleaner by far than what mine is right now. So you win.
Well, I cleaned up because I knew that I'd be having visitors, but it's usually pretty grotty. Pretty grotty.
Is your studio close to home, or is it a ways?
Yeah, it's like a 15-minute walk.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
And I've got the bicycle, so it's like 3 minutes on the bicycle.
There you go.
But it's uphill on the way home, so it's a bit tricky.
You have to hedge your bets on how tired you are by the end of all of it, and
I just take that last hill slow.
Yeah, there you go. So we're gonna jump into the downshoot, and basically, I have questions for you. If you have questions or you want to take any sort of pathway conversation wise, absolutely fair game. And we'll just start chatting and making. And as people tune in, I have a feed up so I can see questions and comments from folks that I can relay as we go along. And I think that's it. I think we're good to go.
Okie dokie.
So, well, let's switch to those downshoots.
Let's do it.
And get ourselves going. So again, if you have questions about sort of getting it set up, the main thing is that your hands are at the bottom of the screen. That's all, just so it shows up the right side up.
I might do that trick and turn the iPad on as well, so I can see what.
Yeah, the only downside of the iPad is there's like a 15-second delay.
Okie dokie.
So, it's like it's what's live in the camera that's capturing is pretty good, but when it comes to the actual feed after that, it starts to get a little clunky. So let me ask some basic questions. I always start out with some of the sort of cheesy, easy questions that sort of get us going, which is basically who were you as a kid, and sort of how much did books play a role in that relationship? Or I shouldn't even just say books, but like sequential work.
Am I in shot there?
I think you're in shot, but I think the camera's turned sideways. That could be, yeah. So if there's a way to rotate it, let's see, clockwise.
You do that.
No, wait, is that right? Yeah, clockwise. So your hands come in from the bottom of the shot.
Okay, so just turn 90 degrees.
Yeah.
But then I'm going to be upside down like that, aren't I? That's upside down.
That's upside down right now. So is there a way to do 180 degrees now?
Let's see. Maybe let's.
It's a matter of, otherwise everybody has to turn their head sideways for the.
Is this okay?
It's a matter of just getting it centered.
Okay.
At this point, sorry to be a pain on it.
That's okay. But better to get it sorted at the beginning.
Yes. I'm keeping an eye on it here on my end here just to make sure that we got the feed. This is the part of the show that is shows that we're real people.
Sure. Does
It's
this
not all
vaguely work?
manufactured. AI would not do this right now. Let's put it that way.
Is this vaguely right?
I am looking at, yes, your hands are at the bottom. I think that right now the paper, I'm only seeing the top edge of the paper, basically.
No, dang it.
If need be, you can do like a 45-degree angle or something of the sort too. It doesn't have to be 100%, but it's a matter of just so it's not sideways the whole time.
Okay, I'm going to try.
Well, there's time. There's plenty of time to play and figure it out.
I'm trying not to freak out.
Yeah. This has happened many a times. You are not the first, so don't worry about it. People put up with it. I'm trying to
see.
Sneak a peek over the edge of my camera to watch as we go.
Let's see.
Hold on. I need this one.
We'll get there.
That looks like it might be pretty good. Oh, no. Okay, never mind.
Might just get rid of the light box altogether.
Do you normally work on top of a light box?
Yeah, it's just kind of where I keep the light box, and it's just kind of like another. It's just an extension of the table, really.
Yeah, gotcha.
I think this should be okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Cool.
So going back to that original question, I want to hear a little bit about sort of your, especially because you're in this world of doing picture books or sequential for kids or younger adults, and wondering a little bit about sort of your start of it all. What was your childhood like? Were you a big book fanatic at the time? Was sequential work something that was important, et cetera, et cetera?
I was not a big reader. I didn't really read when I was a kid. We didn't. It wasn't just like the culture in my house. Really, I've never I've never seen my mum read a book. I don't think, which is kind of weird to say that now that I'm kind of involved in this world. And
has she read one of your books at least?
She has. She tells me she has.
Okay.
It takes her a while to get around to doing it, and they don't take a long time to read, but it's you say that you kind of become a therapist sometimes when
well, I already started right there.
I have to try and sort of hone it in that not everything becomes a therapy session, but
it's more so I just like to talk about sort of like how people think about art and like how it relates to their life. And oftentimes that turns into these moments of like, well, my parents did this. It's
one time
uphill or downhill from there.
So I mean, I wasn't really into reading until I was a teenager, really, that I started finding books, and I had like a neighbor who gave me some books for like my 18th birthday and stuff like Animal Farm and George Orwell and that sort of thing. But as a kid, I only had these books like the Dilly the Dinosaur series, and I found them really quite dry, and so it kind of made me feel that books weren't interesting, and so I was always drawing, but I wasn't thinking from the context of drawing for stories so much, or under the impression that maybe I would be sort of heading towards a career as an illustrator. So I was always just kind of making drawings and paintings and thinking very much as someone who's heading towards having a career as an artist, even though I feel like the concept of being an artist to a young child is just so alien if you don't know any artists.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So do you read a lot now though, or are you?
Yeah, no, I love reading now, and I mean, I've got an 8-year-old son, and we read for like at least half an hour or like 45 minutes an hour before bed each night.
Yeah.
And I love reading. I love reading to him, reading his books, but also I like reading like books for myself now, and it's kind of like something which really relaxes me. And I don't really tend to like watch TV so much anymore either. I haven't watched anything on TV for a long time, like religiously.
Yeah.
But
Is with
yeah,
the books that you read now, are you like this is I say this to kids when I'm doing events is that I basically read the news and then I read picture books. And
right.
part of
Yeah.
it, I need to know what's out there for the industry. I need to understand what's happening, et cetera. But also part of it is like for me, it's a fun, quick read. Like I feel like I accomplished something when I can say I read 5 books today.
Yeah.
um, but is there a type of book that you read now? Like because you're starting to do stuff in the kidlit world, is that like taking a presence in the type of books that you read outside of with your son? I mean,
Um, yeah, I mean, I just read all the Akira series, and I'd never. That's probably like my first like yeah, my first like proper manga reading. But I loved that, um, and just I don't think there's a few things that I've like read. It feels like the wrong word to use. I don't know what you say when you like read a graphic novel, because like reading it seems wrong. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
you uh,
Like you
accomplish.
experience.
Yeah,
Accomplish.
yeah. You,
Yeah, but I've not quite worked out the best way
I,
to put that in words.
I mean, do you read a picture book or do you look? I mean, that once you open up that door, it's sort of like, yeah, when there's pictures involved, what's the term? There's got to be a term that's out there somewhere that is the like quintessential. This is the terminology that you use in this situation. But um, is there with the idea of jumping into this world of kidlit or into the world of sort of sequential kidlit and whatnot? Um, since that is a vision you did not have early on, has it in any way shaped or formed the way that you make art in general now because you're in this world?
Um, yeah, I think so. It's hard to say. I feel like a little bit of an outsider in this industry sometimes, and I think that's a bit of a sort of cliche to say that, but I just don't have that same story of I've always loved books and I always knew I was going to do this. Books have been this place that I've kind of, I don't know, found comfort in. I feel like a lot of people say things like that, and it made me feel a little bit fraudulent for a while because that wasn't my journey.
I didn't get that. I think I'm in the same boat. Like books were around, but it was not my everyday activity. Like I was not a heavy reader of any sort
Yeah,
at
yeah,
but
I,
oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no. But I think the point is that I come to my work as someone who cares deeply about making um, imagery on a like an emotive level, and it has to. I feel like every project I do, I have to really care about it, and I do it to the highest degree that I can. And I think of myself as an artist in a way which is doesn't mean that the work is necessarily always serious, but I feel very serious about doing this stuff. And I think for me to say that as someone who makes a lot of jokes as well, I feel very serious about doing a good job with my work.
Yeah. Well, let me. I'm gonna uh, pose a question. I got a couple of questions or a question that my wife has here. Well, the question my wife has is very simple. Is it hot where you are right now?
Yeah, man,
Okay.
really hot. I've
Okay.
just How could you tell? Can you see the sweat pouring off my hands?
Well, someone commented something in the comments about it being hot there, but also I heard there was some heat wave going through
There
that
is.
through England that's been hitting people. But okay, so the question that I wanted to ask, and this is sort of a weird question, because I asked this to students who are on the edge of being an illustrator or being an sort of a fine artist. I always ask this question of, are you an illustrator who does fine art, or are you a fine artist that is illustrative? And it's this weird, like, that idea of, like, especially because you do ceramics and you know you've done work outside of the illustration sort of market. I'm wondering, do you see yourself, like, how do you define yourself in this situation?
Um, I feel way more comfortable calling myself an illustrator now because I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah,
illustrating books. Um, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like you get certain sort of tropes in illustration which can get repeated quite a lot,
yeah,
and and I mean this happens in the art world as well. But I think it's more kind of obvious sometimes in illustration. But I feel like you shouldn't necessarily have to differentiate anyway. I feel like
yeah.
they're all part of the same family. It's just a lot of, I don't know, sometimes snobbery which is related to those words.
Yeah, there's in the world of education that I'm in, there's definitely some silos that form, or some I want to say, like, some prejudice
Yeah.
toward both sides. I will admit both sides, but I know that distinctly as an illustrator, we get told sometimes that we sell out, or that we're not as pure because we have a client versus doing it for ourselves. And it's disheartening to hear, and I think it's a problem with just a lot of, like, the art industry in general, is that people pocket it, and that's why that, like, idea of just being a painter who is illustrative is just like, you don't have to be one or the other. You can be both and be in that sort of gray area.
Yeah.
Um, I know that even with my upbringing, getting out of college, I was very much a illustrator to start, and now I feel like I'm becoming more of a fine artist, or leaning that direction as time goes on, of caring less about, well, that's, I shouldn't say that out loud in public, caring less about what the client wants, and putting more emphasis on sort of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Um, but don't tell anybody I said that out loud. I
No,
don't want jobs to dry up.
I relate to that as well.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I feel
okay.
like you should be doing what you want to do, even if you are commissioned to do it
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a way.
I think some of it is that idea of, like, getting out and into the world, and then all of a sudden you have to make a paycheck to survive, and it's, oh, I'm going to bend over to make sure they're happy versus I'm happy, kind of situation that a lot of people go through when they get out of school. You said you went to school for illustration in particular.
Yeah, I did a degree in bachelor's degree in illustration at Brighton,
At Brighton. Okay. Okay.
but originally I had applied for painting courses, but my foundation year was a little bit weird because so we in the UK you do a foundation art year before you you like specialize for your
Yeah.
art degree, and I'd my year was just a bit disrupted, so I kind of came out of it thinking, oh, painting's where it's going to be for me. But then I did like redid my application after I decided that, oh, there might actually be the chance to have a job at the end of it, being an illustrator.
The Yeah, I think that's not uncommon, and I mean, even the school that I teach at is very much a foundation. Everybody does the same thing their first year, and
Right.
then okay, now it's decision time, and it's a lot of. I know that we had to decide halfway through our freshman year in college, and it was a hard decision for some folks because they just, they had ideas or inklings, but they didn't know exactly what it meant, or what was to come. Let's put it that way.
Where do you teach?
I teach at a little tiny art college in Massachusetts called Montserrat College of Art. there's literally only 250 people in the school.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah, it's tiny, uh, but
Nice.
it's kind of quaint and everybody knows each other. But it also means that we're very very like we're not as siloed in the sense that you have to take classes with people from other programs. So you're not all of a sudden just only in classes with people from illustration the entire way through. So um, it's nice in that sense, for sure. Um, did you, when you were in school, did you take book courses, or was that something that sort of came after the fact?
My course was weird in the respect that they didn't really encourage us to do bookwork. I think that the tutors were maybe even a little bit bored of seeing people drawing in a way. I think they wanted us to come out being like pop stars or something else, something which would kind of like subvert illustration and take it
Yeah.
into more kind of fine art space. And I think in some ways I got a lot out of the course, but I think that I was a little bit scared just to be a drawer as well at points.
Was
But
wait,
yeah,
you said the date that you got out was 2007, 2009?
2009.
2009. Okay. I'm just trying to track, like, even the equivalent of, I think, the type of expectation from a college at that time versus, 10 years earlier versus now is very, very different in sort of what people were expected to do or what the job market was. Um,
Yeah,
and so that idea of like, you were at that sort of crux where the, I don't want to say fine art, but that idea of like, um, a little bit of individual sort of approach was honored more than what it was when I went to school. Like when I went to school, it's very like editorial. You do stuff for magazines, and that's the way you make a living.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and nowadays, that's not always the same thing. So, uh,
sure. But I think that that also might be a reflection of like the US illustration scene compared to the UK.
yeah.
We'd get we had exchange students coming over from MCAD in Minneapolis,
Oh
and
yeah. Okay.
they were always quite shocked by the difference in approach.
I mean, MCAD was known as, at least for me, I grew up in Minnesota, so and it was one of the schools I looked at, but was very sort of commercial type of,
Right.
and so I could understand that sort of connection. So now you're in this world of books, and I assume that you love it.
Yes.
I really hope you were going to say yes on that. That wasn't,
Yes, Mark.
yeah,
I'm very happy.
yeah. Prove it. No, just that the idea of like, what is it? Because everybody has their own take on sort of what in particular about books is exciting. And I look at something like the book that you did with Ziggy, and it it is a long form book. That is not just a picture book. That is a much longer form. There's lots of images within. It's sequential, etc. Like, is there something um, in the book market in particular that you're like, oh, this is my bread and butter. This is the thing I could do for the end of time or till the end of time.
I I do kind of I enjoy the long form aspect and having a project um, which just takes up a lot of my time. I quite like that. I think it turns off a lot of illustrators who just want to put something out and then move on to the next thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, and it would be great if those jobs had um, like a fee which reflected the amount of time that one puts into it.
Yeah.
But
When the pages go up, the price doesn't. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping that this is something that will change with time, but yeah, it's tricky. Um, but I hadn't done anything like Altizaken before Altizaken, so Ziggy kind of took a little bit of a gamble working with me on that book because I hadn't done anything very long form sequential image illustration narrative stuff before. but from doing it, I learned that I do really love it, and yeah, I want to do more projects like that. But I also just really enjoy variation, and so when something is maybe getting a little bit monotonous and repetitive, it's cool to mix it up and do something totally different.
I mean, one of the things that I wonder about, especially with your work, because it does have that sort of like um, uh, sketchy, raw sort of element to it, is how much do you put into, and I don't mean this in any negative light, but how much do you put into the sketch process, or how much of it is actually done in the actual production of uh, said book? And does that give you some sense of like, I want to say like freedom or flexibility that potentially um, uh, you might not get in that sort of environment or that kind of job, rather?
Are you talking about like from roughs to final? Saying
Yeah, like I'm someone who, as an example, I'm someone who likes to spend most of the time playing with material. And so if I get into sketching stuff, I sketch it tight, and then it just feels like it's replication at that
yeah,
point. And I feel like your work is so like straight out of your head, straight through your hand kind of situation, that like, do you do tons of sketches or really tight sketches, or is it more that you like to play off the fly?
it depends on the project, but certainly with like the graphic novel stuff, my sketches have quite a lot of detail in them. I can show you a quick sketch if you like.
Yeah, I would love that.
I mean that this kind of assumes that my studio space is organized, but
Yeah.
which it's not. But
I get to ask those questions where you have to search for things, and I just hope that you don't ask things that I have to go hunt down, because again, mine's probably messier than yours is at this point. So
well, this is these are some roughs that I'm working on for a project at the moment, which will be kind of like it's like a large mural piece for somewhere local in Hastings. And so I kind of work on lots of bits of paper and then scan them into Photoshop and then assemble them. So this is going to be like a big like crowd scene, but there's quite a lot of like detail in the sketch, and kind of the same that thing that you were saying, that it's just a case of kind of replicating a little bit. But I tend to put, when I've actually assembled the overall composition, I'll print it out, and then on the Lightbox I'll ink it up in final. But it's that kind of fine line of getting enough information in the drawing that that it kind of is an aid to what you're working on, but not putting so much information in there that it's stagnant and stale when it comes out as the
yeah,
final.
I love the looseness of the line, and like even the smudges of what I'm assuming is the charcoal in some cases, where it's just like that's naturally part of it. I mean, I know that I have questions all about that I need to hunt down or answer myself about reproduction of line work like that, making sure the computer can capture some of the textures and things that are there. But I do see there's a question here from, it looks like Tara. Uh, there's Tekken Tafel, something like that. It says, "May I ask how long did it? No, how long it took to make Old Lick and Shushu? Sort of how
How
long?
long does it take
Yeah,
to make Altazakan and Shushu?
yeah,
So Altazakan, I mean, I've got a terrible memory, and I think I intentionally don't keep note of how long I'm spending on something, because if I then worked out what my hourly wage was, I think I'd have a stroke. But um, I think it's probably sort of 6 months solid 9 to 5 if I broke it down time wise, but that was done over the course of a year.
Yeah.
I was working on it like half the time for that year. And Shoo Shoo, which is the new book with Ziggy again, that's this one. This was a fair bit longer, because it's kind of a continuation of some of the stuff that was going on visually in Outerzacken, but this is much more charcoaly. But it's got a lot of work.
I just
So
I I'm one of those people who needs like constant change, and it's probably some mental issue with me. Um, and so when I hear that kind of time frame, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could last that long. I would probably like burn out way through. Is there a method that you use to sort of keep yourself engaged through all of
um, yeah, I'm not sure. I think it just I I think I was worried that I would feel like that um, beforehand, but I think that I just found some comfort in not having to get other jobs in.
Yeah. Okay.
Bit like I mean I've obviously had like enough money in the bank that I wasn't going to freak out in that respect, but I just wanted to do something ambitious, and I really wanted to do it well. Which it sounds kind of like arrogant to say that, but that's how I genuinely felt when I had the opportunity to do a project like that. It just felt like a really good chance to do something that I would be proud of.
I think there's a lot of maturity in that sort of sentiment. I mentioned it up top, but just that idea of like I was not smart enough early on to realize sort of the that I had a lot more say in things in the work that I was making, and to sit there and say I'm doing this for me, or I'm doing this because I need to be correct, or I need it to be this, aesthetic or this approach or whatever it may be, uh, is something that comes with time and comes with understanding sort of what your goals are in a situation like that, and not everybody has the foresight to say that's exactly what they want, or like this is how I want to approach things forward. So
Mm.
I take it as not a big headed thing, but more so of a maturity, a understanding of your sort of uh, artistic vision. I guess the best way I can put it. So,
Thank you.
um, let's see. That's a good. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm caught up on the questions there. So tell me a little bit about sort of when you jumped into this. Like, obviously, you're working with a publisher, so there is a there is some insight that you get, I assume, in that situation of they know what they can get away with, they know what to sell, and things of that sort. But did they help you through the process on the first book?
So I mean, it's an interesting setup in the respect that I said that like Ziggy is the publisher and the author.
Yeah,
So it's quite a kind of individual space to kind of occupy for her. But we got on really well, and just it just felt kind of it flowed quite naturally working together. But I don't think you really appreciate what that working relationship is until you're faced with another kind of working relationship, or if you've experienced it
yeah.
done in a different way before that. But and certainly working with her now, it's just just kind of you know each other on a personal level, and yeah, it is important to just be able to be honest about things and say, oh, I don't think this is working, or is this going in the right direction, and just to have kind of quick feedback. So that was all quite yeah, straightforward.
I mean, that was going to be my next question. How much say did you get in a project like that, since you were essentially in from the start versus sort of you know, getting asked the project after the fact?
Yeah,
Did you
I
get
mean,
to stay in the story direction at all?
I mean, yes and no. Like the script was already written, but when you're given 7 A4 pages of dialogue and told, well, turn this into a 70-page book, it's there's so many kind of quiet things which aren't written,
Yeah.
and those choices are left up to you. So and I always think that when a publisher gives a manuscript to an illustrator, there are infinite books that could come from that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen it happen in my own work where I did something very different than what was expected, and so clearly there's that sort of mentality of approach. Uh,
Yeah.
was there a lot of, like, because most of the time when I've worked on books with an author, there is no relationship beforehand. There's no connection to the person. It's just a, hey, here's this book. Do you want to work on it? And it's either a yes or no kind of situation. And I'm wondering, in because you sort of knew each other or had some relationship prior, um, before the book project started, was there give and take in the sense of, like, expectation, or uh, like, was there more say and more input right from the beginning versus waiting until you handed in all the finals and then going, okay, well, we like this, we don't like this, and move this over here, et cetera, et cetera?
Um, I feel like to that point, our relationship had just been building up to the fact that we could work together, and then when that working process first started, it was more a case of just working out what the materials and the process would be in making work for the book. And that was the only time that we really had, that Ziggy had much information in the way that she's saying, oh no, I don't think this works, or and once we kind of had the guidelines down, I was pretty much able to do all the roughs, and there were next to no amendments from those roughs.
Whoa. Okay. You hear my reaction. Like, oh.
But I mean, do you find in your work that you get a lot of feedback
I
in that way that's different?
I mean, I definitely get feedback, and I don't think it's a lot, but it's one of those ones where, like, it's rare to get one where you don't get a lot of feedback, or you don't get, uh, feedback at all. And so just that idea of the reward of being done at the end of the day and going, okay, I can check it off and I don't have to go back into it, is overly exciting to me.
Right.
I mean, most of the time what I have is like a few hours worth of notes that I have to adjust. But every once in a while, when a page comes through and it doesn't have adjustments, I'm so excited, because it just means I don't have to go back into it. I can move on of some sort. So,
I mean, is it your, like, your commercial work? Is it? I'm when I look at your work, I'm not sure what is self-initiated and what is your kind of commercial published stuff. Um, but do you see, is there a stylistic difference between the two?
I think there is. I don't know as everybody else would, but I definitely think I'm more loose and playful with my own stuff.
Hmm.
And so, like, edges are a little bit more raw. The textures that are chosen are a little bit more goofy and weird. Um, and I think part of it is just literally working on a long form project. You get into a rhythm. I don't know if you have the same thing, but like by the last page that I'm working on, I kind of have a system at that point.
Yeah.
And part of me, when I work on stuff for myself, there is no system. It's sort of I have to figure it out in the moment. And so that idea of um, the play is missing a lot of times in the commercial work. And I wish it wasn't, but it is. And so that idea of like, if you go and look at work that I've just done for myself, oftentimes it's a lot more goofy.
Yeah.
I don't want to say out there because I don't think it's really out there of any sort, but it definitely has a little bit more of a playful mindset behind it, if that makes any sense.
Bit more quirk factor.
Yeah, quirk factor is probably a good way to put it. I mean, do you obviously like uh, from my point of view, if I look at your work, I don't sit there and immediately go, "Oh, you have a um, a super like difference between commercial work and your personal work." I don't see a disconnect. But do you feel like you have a disconnect?
Not really. Um, I think in a way it sort of stopped me from getting certain projects just because I think at the end of the day I still kind of want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Um,
In what way do you think it's stopped you from getting projects? As in, like, people have, like, do you have evidence of that of some sort where someone goes, like, hey, we want to work with you, and you hand in sketches and they go, this is too much?
I think
Or is
maybe when I was younger,
yeah,
I just sometimes didn't like what I was being asked to do, and I would try and I don't know try and still do what I thought would work well, and
yeah,
sometimes that would work out, but some of the time it'd be like, no, what are you doing? This is not what we asked for. But
there's, yeah, you wanted to be rebellious or rock the boat a little. And
yeah,
did you, when you did that, did you know that you would get some, somewhat a pushback, or was that a, like, a surprise to you when they came back and said this isn't exactly what we were asking for?
I think it was more just down to naivety at that point, and not fully knowing what I was doing. Really, I've not done that in a long time, but I think that was just my attitude, kind of going like just saying yes to everything, and sometimes saying yes to things which I shouldn't be saying yes to.
Yeah,
But
gotcha.
yeah, but I think it's a very privileged position to be able to say no sometimes,
Oh, the
and
first time
I don't even know if I'm there yet.
I remember the first time I got to say no, and it was exciting, and and it was even I probably said it on here before, but it was a company, and I won't name the company, but it was a company that when I was started out of school, I wrote to them saying, "Hey, do you have work that, or like, can I, here's my work. What do you think? Can I get a job?" Kind of situation. They denied me, and they said, "Your work isn't right for what we do." And then later down the line, they came to me and said, "Hey, you want to work on something?" And I got to say no.
Oh,
And so it was a little bit of karma coming back their way. Um, and I'm sure they're a lovely company, but it was just not the right time, not the right pay, all that kind of stuff. And so, but it was rewarding to be able to turn around and go, no, no.
thanks,
Um,
but no thanks.
what was that?
Thanks, but no
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah, yeah, exactly. This is, it's my turn, baby. You don't get to tell me what I have to do. Um, so with the idea of, going through school, having this perception of what you were going to be, and now you are where you are. Um, Do you think that this is okay? We're going therapy hard here on this question. Do you
Okay.
think your old self, i.e., your college age self, would be happy and look at what you're doing now and go like, "You did it," or do you think they'd be going like, "What kind of choice did you make?" Like, how much of a like uh, perception did they have at the time of where you would be now, and would they have looked down on your career of what you're doing now of any sort?
Um, no, I don't think so. I think I've always kind of had the attitude of just evolving in whatever way that is, whatever kind of possibilities are presented to me, and making the best choices that I can do with what's presented. But no, I think I would be I think I would be happy with what I'm doing now, and yeah, I don't think that there would be any of that feeling of, oh, well, I wish I'd done some bigger canvases or anything like that.
Yeah, it's funny because I look at I know that when I was in college, I'd be very happy doing what I'm doing now. But when I was in grad school, I think I probably would have been like, "Oh, you're not being artsy enough, or you're not being," you know what I mean? Like I feel like I've gone full circle, a 360, and got
Right.
the heart of who I am versus uh, some perception of what I needed to be in that.
What age are you in grad school?
What age was I? I was, I have to think. It was 2005, so I would have been 27 when I went to grad school.
Because I just don't really understand the terminology of what grad school is.
Sorry. No, so college meaning like we have high school, which is up until you're 18. Then
Yeah.
college is generally, and this is generally, 18 to 22, somewhere in that. And grad school is whenever you would like to go. Some people go right out of college. Some people go later in life. And I took about 4 to 5 years working, and then went back to grad school so I could teach. And so I was
Oh, so
seven.
is that like a master's?
Yeah, master's. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so I got a master's so I could teach in visual design, but I had my undergrad in illustration specifically. And
Right.
so when I went for visual design, I felt like for going for my master's, I feel like I had to be smart or elevate what I was doing in some way, which is sort of a false notion of, you don't have to do things that are somehow uh, bigger or bolder or in some way seen as like highbrow when you're in grad school, but I had that perception that I did. And so I sort of carried that over into my freelance career when I started in illustration out of grad school. Um, so now you said it was 8-year old son?
Yes.
So they're right in the ballpark of sort of kidlit at this point. Like they're reading, I assume, a lot of the kind of work that you're partaking in. Um, are they a fan of yours?
He's very proud of me,
Okay.
and he kind of I don't know. He considers himself to be an illustrator in his head as well, and he thinks every time that he makes a comic book that he's published it. He's like, well, I've published 10 books this year already. I was like, yeah, you have,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a little different. I don't want to take away from
Yeah.
what
You
you've
don't want
achieved,
to steal his
but
thunder illustration. Oh yeah.
but
How many people have bought them, huh? How many people have just started getting on
yeah,
us?
how many sales you got, bud?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's those royalty checks?
Yeah. You're gonna start paying your own way at this point, right? You're paying for
I
dinner.
hope so.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
but yeah, he doesn't read lots of my stuff. I mean, I've only got a few books out there, and I seem to be having had more kind of serious books, like off of the back of Altersachen. I did the book with Michael Rosen one
yep.
day, which is heavy, and it's not kind of like necessarily a big repeat read in some ways, just because they're like deals with like the subject of the Holocaust, and yeah, I'm interested to see what it looks like when a child reads that book, or when an adult reads that book to their child, and um, it's very different from reading something like Bunny versus Monkey, or like reading a just like a fun action-packed book before bed. You
Yeah,
know,
it's a life lesson book versus a history lesson in a way, versus a like fun romp.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, is there working on something like that? One of the questions that always has perplexed me is how much of that do you take with you at the end, in the sense of you're working on something that has a lot of like heavy hitting subject, and is probably can be a little bit taxing of your mental state. Let's put it that. Just
Yeah.
when you're in it, like, because all the books I've worked on for the most part have been dumb, and I don't mean that in a negative light, but just like they're not making you think in the same way as the kind of books that you've worked on, and so at the end of the day, you can sort of walk away and say, well, that was fun, that was a funny joke, someone laughed, and haha, and you know, I don't carry it home with me. But I'm wondering, with the books that you worked on, was there some of that?
Yeah, it was quite an intense experience working on that book, and obviously working with Michael, who had like lost family in the Holocaust, and specifically relating to that convoy, and so there was a lot of pressure to actually get the project right, um, and like for the cover of the book, I drew a lot of faces. I'll show you. So this is the cover of the book, and so all of the portraits that I did for the cover, I'm looking at reference pictures from the Yad Vashem Holocaust Library, and they're people
Yeah.
who lived through that time, or died because of those atrocities, and yeah, it was. I felt the weight of that that time, but also the fact that I felt like I really needed to do justice to that story, that one specific story.
Yeah, you don't want to gloss over it and just go, I'm going to make people up. And
No, totally,
yeah,
totally. Or and to an extent, I feel like you need to actually be upset making work like that to a degree, or I don't think that I could just like put Taylor Swift on and have a good old jolly time or something whilst doing those drawings. So
yeah, it's one of those ones where like I don't know if I have the ability or the willpower to see something like that through, because I just don't know, like, and this is the question I'm sort of asking you in some sense, is like, when you're in the middle of it and you're drawing, can you disconnect in that moment and go, okay, I'm just in the process of drawing, and I don't have to think about the content while I'm, in production. Obviously, during the sketch stage and during the research stage, you have to be there, you have to be present. But is there a point at which you can just go, okay, now it's just image making?
no, I think I personally feel like I have to be kind of in the right headspace the whole time, and I quite often will struggle to actually like listen to music or a podcast or something if I am working on something which I feel requires my
Yeah.
full head. Um,
So that being said, do you want to work on a project that is like nonsense?
what was the question? Sorry.
Is it, do you want to work on a project that's somewhat nonsense? Like if someone came to you and said, we have a book that's about potty humor, would you be all in? Do you want sort of a more thoughtful sort of subject matter?
I don't mind if it's silly, um, or like good humored, but I think I would struggle to like do a book about a pirate who enjoys like farting all the time.
Yeah.
I think I probably would struggle with that. Um, but I'm more than happy to read those books um, myself, and I'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yes, I do kind of feel like I'm in a little bit of a tricky spot now that I don't know if I would take on certain kinds of books because of some of the books that I've done already.
Well,
I'm
that's,
still
I mean,
working out.
that's sort of the heart of the question is sort of like, do you feel like you are in the sort of niche that you would like to be, or do you feel pigeonholed, or like, and some of that is going to be defined by what you get offered as time goes on.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
mean, I'm excited because I'm about to start on a non-fiction project which will have a lot of different subject matter, and I think that that might loosen that up a little bit. But I definitely don't want to just do stories which are like really harrowing,
yeah,
and I think that that would burn me out a little bit if I got another project like that after having done like three books, which they're all a little bit depressing. But I find it slightly cathartic working on projects like that as well. So I don't know. I'm quite comfortable leaning into the depressive stuff as well, and I don't think it's like by chance that these projects have sort of come my way. Hello.
hold on a sec. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear
Oh,
you. Can you hear
yeah,
me okay?
yeah. It's my phone. The cord came loose, and so it was losing power, and so now it
Okay,
should be good. Sorry about that.
that's
uh,
okay. I just assumed that it was my fault.
no, 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 no. It's the cord that I have is maybe needs to be replaced on this end. So I was asking a little bit about sort of like how you decompress in between some of those heavier subject books. Like, do you go on vacation? What's the method, or is it some type of artwork that you just go, I'm going to pour myself into the ceramics for a while just to get myself, in a lighter headspace?
Um, to be honest, I'm always, as soon as a project finishes, I want to know what the next thing is, and I think I'm more freaked out by the prospect of not having work than that I've got like some sort of PTSD from working on something which was
Yeah.
heavy or something like that. Um, but yeah, I feel like the enjoyment and the satisfaction and the pride of producing something that I'm content with outweighs any of that kind of distress that the actual
Pressure.
the actual thing could have had on me.
So tell me a little bit about the ceramic side, of sort of what you're doing with ceramics. Are your ceramics illustrative, or are they like, experimental? What kind of stuff are we making?
Do you want me to show you a couple bits?
Yeah, I mean, I know some of the stuff on Instagram. I didn't know if that was just a uh,
Um, there's lots of I've got
false
like these
or
like large heads that I make, and lots of vases. I think that some of the sort of smaller figurative stuff feels more like an illustrator making ceramics. Like they're kind of like 3D representations
Yeah.
of drawings. And if you're working on a vase, like I'm illustrating onto the vase basically. But I don't know, something like the heads I feel are more like they're more. I feel like they occupy a space where they are more fine art in some ways. But I'm not very good at I don't know, being critical in that way of the work.
Well, does it become a like do you think of it in the same way that you do your illustration? Do you approach it? Is it a storytelling device? Is it more of just a play with material? What's the what's the thought process before you start?
Um, I feel like everything that I do, if it's self initiated and it's me who is kind of like behind the wheel from the beginning, feels different to something where it's commission. Um, and I kind of I don't know, it's that sense of ownership,
Yeah.
which I think that's the main difference between like the commissioned and the non-commissioned work. Um, and I don't know. So sometimes it can just be straight play, like you're just going and you're making a hand coiled bowl. It's just like really, just like no pressure really. Um, but but that said, I'm not really making much ceramics these days, and the time that I was making ceramics is it's sort of like back before my son was born now. Really, that was the bulk of it back in like 2016.
That was my wife and I when the pandemic hit. We got excited about the idea of ceramics and bought a little tiny like miniature potter's wheel. The one where it's like, it's I don't even know how to. I'm trying to think of how many. Uh, the size it's the size of like a tea saucer. Like little small thing.
Oh,
Uh,
it's really tiny.
yeah, and we'd make stuff, and we thought, hey, we're gonna get really into this after this. After the pandemic's over, we're gonna go and take lessons in ceramics and whatnot. And we never did, but I did learn to appreciate form and
Yes.
appreciate ceramics way more than I had previously. And part of it's gonna sound weird, but part of my distaste for ceramics prior to that was when I was in high school. People would take ceramics just to make bongs.
To make bonds. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so like I always saw it as this like, oh, people aren't curious about ceramics or do artsy things, and now of course I know better. But that really sort of opened my eyes in that
No,
situation.
fair enough. But
The
nothing wrong with an artsy bong.
no, they were. I know, especially there were some really interesting jelly bean dishes, as people would label them. Uh,
Okay.
so um, with having a studio, I'm jumping this total subject shift. Sorry. With having a studio, do you primarily work out of studio? Do you do anything from home still, or is it always on location like that?
Yeah, no, I don't really do any work at home. I've had the studio for it's probably coming up to 10 years now, and I share the space with my wife as well. So yeah, it's nice to be able to kind of come to work and do the work, and then go home and do home life, and sort of switch between the two.
Yeah,
But
sort
I feel like when I used to work from home, I would always procrastinate more than I wanted to, and just clean or something like that.
now you said your wife uses the space. What kind of work does she make?
She's a taxidermist.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So let me ask this question then. What have you walked into one day in your studio and been surprised by?
I mean, she probably wouldn't want me to show you too much stuff, but she is making some wonderful chicken legs at the moment, which are quite lovely. But but yeah, there's just all of these guys kind of staring at me from the other side of the room.
And is there is there a and I just don't know, but is there an odor that goes along with all of it? Like,
It's dependent on what you're working on, but if you're
okay,
working on something like a badger, they're pretty musky.
okay.
Uh, Most of the stuff is quite unoffensive, though.
I'm just thinking about you cracking open the door to your studio and all of a sudden being hit by a wall of stink. Um, and
Yeah,
is
I don't recommend badgers.
yeah, I don't I would I don't know as I was going out of my way to get a badger after this. Put it that way. With does does she do it for like people's houses? So it's like plain taxidermy, or is she making it sort of like artsy fartsy kind of putting them in weird positions and dressing them up and that kind of.
No, she's not into like rogue taxidermy where you like maybe get a squirrel's head and put it on a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
blackbird's body or anything like that, or no squirrels riding unicycles or anything like that.
Is that
It's
what
all
rogue?
rogue, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I want to know.
But she's predominantly working for like natural history museums,
Oh,
and
okay. Cool.
so yeah, it's all quite tasteful, really. And no, she does some really lovely work.
And is she someone that you met at school, or is that?
We met in London. We both studied at Brighton, but I didn't know her then. And yeah, only since when we were living in London did we meet.
Yeah, I just
And
ones where like, did you run into each other in the same classes kind of situation? Were you handing in an illustration, and she was bringing in some sort of dead and flopping it
so
down?
romantic.
Yeah,
Uh,
hey, in teaching at my school, I have seen stuff that is akin to that, where students have brought stuff in. Where did you get this thing, and how does this relate? And most of the time, they do a good job with it. But I've seen some deceased animals from the past walking. Uh, so tell me a little bit about sort of, and this is especially for since you don't have a crazy amount of books, you're still sort of early in the process, is what I would say, and I think I am too, of some sort. But just the idea of when you got the first book on hand, you got sent a copy or what have you. What was your initial reaction? Was it excitement? Was it surprise?
um, I think the first projects that I was working on, I wasn't that invested in. So very kind of different from. I mean, it was working on a book where I did the cover and maybe half a dozen spot illustrations. So I was just quite happy with those projects, but it wasn't the same kind of degree of investment as working on the graphic novels. Um, but I was just kind of happy with them, and then sort of moved on. And but when I first got Altazaken through, I was just really happy. There was nothing which like upset me about the production
Yeah.
or anything like that. I was when I first received One Day, I was I don't see it now, but I didn't like the coloration of the illustrations. They were much more kind of greeny yellow than they had been when I sent them off. But yeah, I think a few weeks after that, I was feeling quite upset about it, but now I don't see it at all when I look at it. I don't think about that at all. But it
Well,
did really eat away at me for a bit.
I mean, I absolutely love the color and the production. Like, all I have on hand right now is the Altus Action, but the I thought obviously I don't have the original to be able to sit there and go like, oh, I see how it came out more this or that or anything of the
Yeah,
sort. Um, but I think that the tone and like they did a good job of capturing the watercolor and the inks and all that kind of work in here, like the nuance that's in it. And one of the questions I have, this I've asked this before to a couple other people, but this is going to be a technical question. What kind of surface are you working on with something like that? Is it watercolor paper? Is it like what's the medium in a case like that?
I work on like a thick cartridge paper. So the stuff that I'm using here, it's like a 300 GSM stock, and it's smooth,
Yeah.
but it doesn't like wrinkle to buggery when you get it wet. And and with the commercial work, like I'll I use Photoshop because I layer it up. I'll do an ink layer and charcoal layer with graphite and stuff, but I'll overlay them digitally,
Yeah.
and obviously do all the text separately. But working in layers digitally just gives way more room for just messing around and taking chances.
Okay, so let me ask a technical question then. And this is the like obviously there's technical in the sense of what materials to use, but when you bring your work into Photoshop, how like obviously there's grain and texture to the paper of some sort. There's
Yeah,
like I mean it may be subtle, but it's there. And is that something that you go and erase out? Or is that something that you alter the levels or because that's a
yeah.
problem I've had for years trying to figure out how to manage it.
Yeah, so firstly, like finding a stock which has very little grain was quite important for me, and then I do like play with contrast and I will kind of erase out the paper side of things, but it makes it so much easier when it's a very low grain stock, um, and so I don't have to fuck around with that too much.
So I have a question. It's a weird question. Uh, I didn't realize where you are. You must be near the shore, or is that
Yes.
okay? Because every once in a while I hear a gull in the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, I sure hope that you are near the other shore. Um,
I am. I'm sort of only like 50 meters away from the sea. I actually was. I went for a swim before I came back, so I'm still salty. It's been a weird evening here actually. There was a there's like an old building which had caught fire in I don't know whether it was arson or because of the heat and it being like a slightly derelict building, but it's weird kind of experience of swimming in the sea and then up on the hill, this
smoke.
like smoke.
Yeah.
It's
Does
really
it
quite creepy.
does it at least smell good?
Or
Or
the fire.
yeah.
It wasn't blowing down towards us, but I did
Oh, okay.
I did run up and see because it was near one of my friends' houses. So I was a bit shaken up to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's one of
Yeah,
those ones where like it could be a horrific thing. Like we had a house down the road from us that burnt down ages ago.
yeah,
And even our neighbors before we moved in, our house burnt down, and like there's tragedy in that. But I also like there's part of me that goes like, oh, just campfire, like bring back nostalgia when you step outside and you're like, oh, that's a beautiful smoky smell. Where's it from?
yeah,
You realize that it's not as nice of a story in the end. Realize where it came from. Uh,
yeah. No, I mean there was some nice odor at some point, and then I got told that there's probably asbestos in this rickety old building, and yeah,
yeah.
the smoke was really black as well.
Then you clear out at that point.
I
Uh,
got out of there.
with uh the ocean swimming. So this is the like some people come on and they think, oh, we're just gonna talk Kid Lit the entire time, but the point where I'm like, when you tell me that you swim in the ocean, I get a little excited and I'm like, okay, I got stuff. Uh, when we were in Ireland, there was people that just swim in the ocean every day, and they always talked about that it wasn't as cold as it looked. But where you are, I know maybe you're in a heat wave. There's some, some heat going around. But how is the ocean itself? Is the ocean freezing at this point, or is it?
No, it's not too bad. It's really not too bad at the moment. It's just like sweaty business here at the moment, so it's quite refreshing.
You say it's a sweaty business.
It
I like,
is a business.
I like the terminology, sweaty business. Um, it's and with the swimming. Sorry, I'm stumbling over words here. With swimming, do you go deep into the ocean? Like,
Um, so I'm kind of just paddling around with my kid, but he's in a life jacket, and we bob out a little bit, but it's probably only sort of 3 meters, 4 meters where we're swimming.
yeah, you're not going out like to
We're
like
not
the trees
far.
around and gotcha.
If it's just me, I might swim out to. I think you call them buoys, don't you?
Yeah,
We call them buoys.
boys.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It doesn't make sense either way,
Okay.
but it sounds it's very kind of different connotations. We're like, oh, I'm just gonna go swim out to the boys.
Yeah, yeah. Wait a
Yeah,
second. Spelled Bouy.
Buoy, I think.
Uoy. So
So,
buoy doesn't make a lot of sense because that's yeah. I
oh,
think ours is probably wrong. For sure. I can't guarantee that yours is, but I can say that ours is.
yeah,
Um, with with the swimming, like the school that I teach at is a matter of I'm gonna say a 5 minute walk to the ocean. And all these people say like, oh, I want to go to the beach, swim at the beach, but I'm the type of person where if I see what's underneath the water, I
you freak out there.
yeah. And so with the ocean where you are, is it pretty? Is it like can you see underneath, or is it sort of a hit or miss on?
It's fairly murky,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Didn't really want the conversation to go here, but like when there's a lot of rain, they release sewage as well. So
Oh,
you kind of
okay.
got to have an app to know when is a good time to swim and when not to.
We
And
go there. We don't have to go there.
nah, it's upsetting. They shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing that.
Okay. No, that's not cool. We had a river near us where they did very similar recently, and so I had to look at the guide of like it's the lake that we are on, our camp is on. Oak swam the other day, and luckily it was, but still, um,
Oh, cool.
yeah, cool, exciting, yeah. This is the part of the show where people get grossed out and don't want to know anymore. Um, so tell me a little bit about hopes and dreams artistically. Where sort of the idea that you mentioned at the beginning that you sort of just go where the art took you.
Yeah.
But I imagine there's still some in the back of your mind. There's still some sort of like this is something I'd like to accomplish. This is something that I'd like to achieve. Um, where where does your mind go when sort of posed with that question of you know long term goals?
Long-term goals. I think getting to the place where I don't know, just that I can. I mean, it's quite basic, but just like pitch the projects that I want to make, and they land.
Yeah,
Um, and uh, in the same way that I feel like you don't know what you're capable of doing until you're given the opportunity to do it.
yeah,
I just want to. I want publishers to take that gamble with me rather than having to have an author uh, who kind of instigates the work.
Well, are you writing it?
I am. I mean, I'm kind of working on some projects for pitching and waiting on feedback and stuff from those. But also, like I made this book, The Man with Very Long Legs, which that's it's a strange situation that it's published in France and it's published in the Netherlands, so it's in Dutch and French, but I don't have an English publishing rights deal for it yet.
Yeah.
But it's doing really well in those territories. But I would really like to have it in English. You know?
Yeah. There's folks that I've had on here before who are from Australia, and they would do work in the US and never ever see a finished copy of their work, which is like
Yeah,
I can imagine very, very frustrating.
yeah,
Have the final to even know if it like came out okay,
yeah. It's
colors
great.
or whatever it may be. Um, Now, remind me, your agent is it United Artists?
Yeah, United Agents.
United Agents. Thank you. I messed that up. But and do they help with the writing side of things, or are they primarily on the art?
Um, it's still relatively recent, this relationship, so I'm not quite sure.
Oh, okay.
But with the Man with Very Long Legs, I was working with a different agent. Do you know Debbie Bebo?
The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I couldn't
Yeah,
pinpoint.
but that was a really positive experience, like because Debbie effectively works as the editor in the process, and
Yeah,
so I don't know. I got some really. It was a very good experience making the book with her expert help.
yeah.
Um,
Hands-on experience
yeah,
involved.
but yeah, it's a different setup with United and just sort of kind of working things out at the moment. But it's more a case of so far of them kind of giving me work rather than how I go about pitching my projects with them.
Yeah. Are they a literary agent or are they an, I don't remember.
Uh, they are literary agents, yeah. It's not other work as well. It's all book related.
That's one of those ones where like a I didn't know because of your expertise in a variety of different fields if you were solely going with a literary or if you had a art that sort of branched out beyond uh, the literary world. With with getting an agent, was that something that was like from the get go you knew you needed an agent, or is that something that sort of came to manifest itself over time just because of career choices and whatnot?
It was, yeah. I mean, I've been freelance for, you know, best part of 15 years before trying out what it'd be like working with an agent, and I don't know, assumed that I'd be able to get better contracts and have more eyes on my work, and yeah, and I think it's just a good idea just to try different ways of being a professional and seeing what works.
Yeah. Do you
No, do you have an agent?
what?
Do you have an agent?
Yeah, I actually have two agents. I'm a little bit of a mystery in the sense that I have a literary agent. The art agent I've had longer, and then I when I got into Kidlit, sort of negotiated out of that part of the contract for Kidlit, and so
Right.
I have at this point. But for the most part, it's the same, setup. I primarily do the Kidlit side anyway, so I do a lot more Kidlit work than I do sort of art or like editorial. uh, but uh, it's I'm the type of person who I need that. I need someone to go out there and sell to others. Um,
Sure.
was that, I mean, when you were sort of looking at agents and got approached or approached you, that's something wherein you knew, like, hey, this is going to be nice to have someone on my side? Was it something wherein having a like someone deal with contracts? Like what was it about an agent that was or that at least right now seems to be the good part?
Um, yeah, someone kind of fighting your corner felt like makes being a freelancer slightly less lonely, and I don't know, just to feel like someone else is invested in what I'm doing. Um, but also just like anything that can kind of help make what I'm trying to do more consistent. Um,
With
Future-proofing a little bit,
what was that?
like sort of future proofing a little bit.
Yeah. With the agent that you have, did you approach them or did they find you? Like I know that was it a like a query situation or was it they approached you and said let's do this?
Yeah, I just sent an email and then heard back that they'd liked my work for a while, and we arranged a meeting, and yeah, it all just kind of happened quite naturally. Sort of took the stress out of it.
Yeah. With now that you have the agent, those that are listening that sort of um, need to know a little bit more about um, what a agent does and sort of your relation. Is there like, or if you were to sell the idea of having an agent to someone, what would you relay? What would be the sort of the I guess selling points? That's the best way I can put it.
Do you want to be filthy rich?
Yeah.
Do you like money? Um, no, I don't know. I still really don't feel like that we've done enough together for me to give an honest interpretation of what it's like having an agent.
Oh, okay.
Um, but we are currently negotiating a project which wouldn't have come to me otherwise,
Gotcha.
and I feel like it's kind of what I wanted, because I feel like I'm being I don't know whether this would have happened naturally if I wasn't with the agent, and just where the sort of trajectory of where my career currently is, but I'm currently in the position where hopefully negotiating a contract which wouldn't have been available to me a couple years ago.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. They're just like
Um,
different work and things of the sort uh,
yeah.
add up. Um, and with I guess one of the questions I have for you, and because you're in the UK, I know a little bit about the European market, but the UK market in particular is when you're aiming or you're pitching a book or books are coming to you, are they primarily coming from the UK or is it? I mean, you said you did that one that you haven't even seen really, but is there sort of a region that tends to gravitate towards your work or that they hold your work for?
I mean, for that book, which isn't published in English yet, that was working with a an agent who's based in Milan. So
Yeah,
which also like makes sense of why it's more of a European book, right?
yeah.
Why it's kind of doing better in Europe. But um, I also think that I don't know whether, even saying this, I'm not sure, but I didn't know whether that kind of book fits better with a European audience. Like it is kind of a little bit more kind of whimsical and strange in a way that I feel like a French or a Dutch audience or a Spanish audience would engage with in a way that isn't as literal as a lot of the books that come out in the English market.
Yeah. Are you saying the English are very, very straightforward and
I mean, if you think that like our best-selling books are like the Gruffalo, it's very much kind of like it's very traditional and it's kind of safe.
yeah.
I feel like I don't know if it's across the board. I think it probably is, but particularly in the English market, I feel like publishers are being very conservative and very safe with what they put out. Do
No,
you
I
feel like that in the States?
there's definitely a distinct states flavored type of book, and so like I am a lover of European books for the most part because I feel like they are a little bit more risky than what the states does, and it's not to say that there isn't risky ones in the states, but I feel like there's maybe a little bit more like of a mature audience that's played to with kids from overseas, in the sense that like old folk tales that potentially are a little like dark or a little weird are probably a little bit easier to come by um, in a market outside of the U.S.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
and I
Uh,
think that's maybe kind of the kind of books I want to be making in some way.
yeah, I'm in that same boat where it's like I know that Europe doesn't pay as much book wise, but I also know that the type of books that I like are the ones that are a little bit more out there compared to the U.S. market. And it's a question of like, how do I convince people that let me into that market, but also try to pay me more what
Yeah.
they make. Um, have you had conversations of break into the U.S. market big time, or is it like
Break
not?
into the US market, do you say?
Yeah, not big time, but like if the books are coming primarily from Europe or from um, I always think of the U.S. market as being fairly big at this point, just because of the big five publishers um, that are here. Is there any sort of sense of like a how do you get your books overseas more often?
Um, to be honest, I feel I'm quite ignorant with a lot of this stuff, and I mean, even when you talk about the five big ones, who are the five big ones?
The big ones are like Simon and Schuster, Penguin Random House. It's uh, I don't remember Scholastic. Scholastic is one of them. Houghton Mifflin, and then all their sub stuff underneath that.
Sure.
They're five publishers out of New York basically that are here.
Right, right.
So they
Because
tend,
I almost don't even think of those as being American because they have their like sister
yeah,
houses over here and stuff. And like when I did the book with Walker, they have Candlewick in the States, so that you're automatically kind of put onto that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Candlewick, their publishing is just like I'm gonna say 30 minutes south of here, uh,
right.
and lovely little building. I've never been inside, but I've known a lot of folks through there. But yeah, it's that same sort of thing where it's like uh, there's European publishers that publish in the U.S. and vice versa, and I want to get my hands in my grubby little hands into some of those uh, that cross ocean market. That's
Yeah.
if I can,
Yeah.
if I can.
It, no, I'm just kind of, I really don't care where the work goes in a way, as long as it gets received and received well.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that.
And I just think I've always been a little bit um, just like not that switched on to the business of things. I feel like as long as I'm kind of paying my bills and stuff, I kind of
Yeah,
just keep my head down.
I think part of it is I am like doing this show and being near to New York, having so many folks that I know that are in the industry, it's sort of hard not to disconnect from the sort of like having to know things of some sorts. I mean, I feel like there are times where I go to my crit group and they talk about uh, specific editors and art directors. I don't remember them well at all. And they're all like, "Oh yes, yes, that person just moved from this company to that company." I have no clue what they're talking about or about
Right.
me of any sort. But you know, more power to them. They can remember those names. I can remember other stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. I mean, it's the equivalent of who was I talking to that? Well, I was talking to someone who was at. We have the American Library Association here in the U.S. that just happened in Chicago, and I was talking with some book publishers that were there and mentioned some really, really well-known kidlit author illustrators, and they looked at me dumbfounded because it just wasn't their market. They just, you know, it's not to say that they don't care, but it was so out of their market that they just sort of stared blankly at, and I had to go, "You don't know who that person is? Oh, I didn't realize. I thought everybody knew who that person was." Um, and it it surprised me, but at the same time, I get it. I get that like we all have our range that we look into. Um, can you tell me a little bit? Like I know that you're playing um, some color and things of the sort now. Just walk me through a little bit of sort of your thought process on application and material and that sort. In the I'm interested in how folks make the decisions they do with their artwork, and I'm wondering with what you're making, is there some like plan when you start to scribble some of the color down and things of the sort? Is there a plan, or is that something that just sort of feels right in the moment?
A lot of the time, it's just kind of squinting my eyes and just trying to work out where it's
Yeah.
going. But I just have fun in that space of really not knowing where it's going to go,
I like
and almost just like the sort of crisp edges of it are enough to keep me grounded.
I like the idea of just squinting, which is like one of the things that I do with my students. I have them do that if they're trying to look at like value, is like get rid of the details and just squint your eye, look and see what it looks like. And so squinting makes a lot of sense. Um,
Yeah,
with when you're books, have you done any events or anything of the sort?
yeah. I mean, we've done a few like launch events. We did a couple of launch events for Altazaken and the same for Shushu, and yeah, we just had the launch for Shushu at Gosh Comics in London,
Hmm.
which is like the big comic book store in Soho. And then we had like another little one down in Hastings, and the Hastings one was great fun just because this is where all like my community is,
Yeah,
and
the people you know.
yeah, and just like sort of celebrating like a new independent bookshop that's opened in the area as well. It's just all feels very wholesome, and I love where I live, so
Now,
that felt
let,
good.
let me pose this question because you did say like you want to keep your head down and whatnot. Is it hard to do the presentation or like to do a book reading or a book event, or are you able to disconnect and
Um, no, I'm way more confident talking now than I used to, which might shock and terrify you that that's the case, considering how bumbling I've been so far. But
good? You've been good.
thanks, man. But like a few years ago, I won the V&A Illustration Award for like best children's illustration with Altazaken,
Yeah.
and since actually like getting that award, it kind of it's just given me a real confidence boost, and um, yeah, I just feel less self-conscious than I used to, and yeah, I just feel more grounded in general, to be honest.
Um, I just had something break on me. Okay, sorry. No, that idea of like, especially if you're an artist who sort of holds up away from people quite often, that idea of having to get out and into the environment is tricky, um, and learning how to sort of react to kids and adults and all the people in the room. Um, I know I have trouble with it. To present a school period of some sort.
What did you say? Presenting a what?
Just presenting in a school, like demo things of the sort,
Yeah,
on a regular basis, or talk, or have big discussions, or speak at commencement, that kind of stuff. But it's still daunting to be in an environment, a bunch of kids, adults there, as you try to pretend that you got your act together, of some sort. With the doing those events, did you have lots of kids show up, like little kids show up? And the reason why I ask is just because of, like, I think of your books as being sort of not necessarily an older audience. The type of kid that reads that is probably reading it with a parent versus
sure.
off the shelf by themselves.
I mean, that's the thing. I think that the majority of the events where they've actually been launches, it has been an adult audience coming along, and which I kind of I want my books to be read by adults as well, and they're not to be that kind of like what you were saying, how you kind of consume stuff. Like I want illustrated books to be consumed by grown-ups because they're rad, and I want it to be just as much a book for the adult as it is for the child, and certainly in the books that those books that we've been talking about, and I know that maybe a lot of other writers and illustrators who are making different kind of books would very much not say that's their intention, and I feel like that maybe won't be my intention depending on other projects that I work on, but certainly so far that has been the case.
Yeah.
But there's a difference in events of ones where you go to the kids rather than expecting the kids to come to you. So I've done like 2 events recently where I've gone into schools and given presentations, kind of either as part of like a sort of careers event, or just like relating to like World Book Day or something like that.
Yeah.
And those always seem to go well.
Yeah. The do you think that some of, like, my theory in my case, and this may not be my theory in my case, is that I didn't know how to interact with kids until I had a kid. And
You know how to interact with kids until you had a kid.
yeah, like I didn't understand the mindset of a kid until I had a kid that I had to deal with on a regular day, sort of understand where and how he processed things. And so that idea of like going into a school, I think was probably, I would have, when I was in college, like, no way, I want no part of that. And
Right.
it's so much fun to do. And I think some of it, learning the ins and outs of how they're going to react in those situations. So what are they going to laugh at? What are they going to ask questions about? Sort of getting my head wrapped around some of that made it easier to go into school rooms, or auditoriums, or what have you. With doing all the book events and things of the sort, have you considered ever getting into teaching or getting into workshops or things of the sort with your work?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I almost feel like I sort of came from an educational background beforehand. In some ways, the fact that I was obviously in education, and then just like I went back and worked at the college that I did my A levels at, and worked as a technician there for uh, well, for the year between my foundation and going to university, because I needed to earn some money. And
Uh-oh.
Are you still there?
yeah, can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yeah,
Should I
the
go out?
out for a second.
Sorry,
Okay.
I was just saying that I do enjoy teaching, and I worked as a technician in a college for a time, and so yeah, I think it's a nice kind of juxtaposition to what is quite a solitary working life, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You get out and actually interact with people in some
Yeah,
instead of just holing up for the day.
yeah.
Um, is there with thinking about sort of books and all the things that go along with this industry? Obviously, spend some time reading with your son. You spend some time reading on your own. Are there books or artists in particular that you look at that you go like, people need to know about this person, or huge fan of and buy every single book they put out?
Yeah, for sure.
Basically, who are your heroes?
Who am I? Who are the big guys? I mean, like heroes from the past. Certainly, like Raymond Briggs is a big player for me. Um, and I think he's exciting as well, because I feel like he's someone who was kind of championing the like the graphic novel scene for British people before they even knew that they were reading a graphic novel, in a way. Um, and obviously, like Quentin Blake's the kind of the master for a reason. He's I appreciate his line a lot, and just the kind of like amount that he's put out over the years. But more kind of current people, like I love Beatrice Alamanga, and she's like a really good example of someone who does the European whimsy thing really incredibly well.
Yeah. Is it?
Um,
Have you
yeah,
been to Bologna?
Bologna, yes. Yeah, I've been 3 times, and that's where originally I met the agent who I worked with on Long Legs. Um, yeah, and it's super cool. Have you ever been?
I've never been, but it's in the cards at some point. It's a question of when. But we are going to go. But it's one of those things. You're closer, so it's always the like. And I know you're not close. I get it, but uh,
No,
yeah,
no, it's not far.
yeah. The European market is maybe a little bit more uh, adjacent to you than potentially it is for me to get down to. And so that idea of going to that is I have to save up a little bit before it. But I do want to go. The with the Quentin Blake, you have stuff at like his museum or something. What
Yeah,
for
he's just got a new institution that's opened up in London, and he's got one of my ceramic elephants there.
Okay. The he's one of those names that's like a historically for those that don't know who he is, they should know he's like a quintessential name when it comes to illustration and art making in general. And so that idea of having something, did they just reach out to you and go, hey, we want one of your pieces for this, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, no, just like a really lovely email arrived in my inbox one day, and saying would I sell them one of my pieces for the library of the new institution that was opening up, and I was like, yeah, thank you.
Did you ask for a price, or did you jack up the price at all for it?
No, it had been in a London show beforehand, and um, I was happy with the prices that it
Yeah,
was on show there. And to be honest, I would have given it to them for it to be in that space anyway. You know, it's
Yeah, there's a one kind kind of or one of a no one. What's the word I'm looking for? Not one of a kind situation.
once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime. Thank you, thank you. You got me there eventually. Um, no, it's Quentin Blake, and I mean, there's the equivalent like on the state side. If someone said, "Hey, do you want to be in the Eric Carle Museum?" It's like, yeah, yeah, I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, I'll jump on that. It doesn't matter. I will track. I will bring it there. I will hang it for
yeah.
you. And I that's an Eric Carle Museum. Um,
Where have you got something in the Eric Carle Museum?
no, but we're gonna go. It's 2 hours,
Wicked.
and we've just never been, and
Oh,
so
lovely.
we got to get there. We are. I admittedly, like when I was a little kid, I knew of his work, obviously, like everybody probably did at that age, but I did not appreciate it the same way that I do now. And
Yeah,
now I'm like, yes, I need to go. And he was such a like he was so simplistic with what he did, and yet so like smart in what he did that I can't fully wrap my head around how smart he was with his application and materials and things of the sort. And so I want to go and visit. I've never been, and so I need to go to that. We actually in the U.S. we live in a area where there is just a lot of kidlit and kidlit adjacent content because of all these people that came out of New York and transplanted into the area where we live. And
right.
like all these famous, there's a Dr. Seuss stuff in museums, and there's a Norman Rockwell from the area. Like there's just a lot of that is really really close to where we live. Um, how what's with Hastings and where you wait? Your studio's in Hastings. You don't live in Hastings, is that right?
So, I mean, it's being a little pedantic, but like, it's it's Hastings and St Leonard's. They're like two towns which kind of butt up against each other.
Sister cities.
Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha. Um,
and yeah.
what's the art scene like there? What's the do you get a decent art scene? Is it secluded?
There's a lot of freelancers here, and a lot of there are a lot of really good illustrators, and yeah, and there's like local art festivals and stuff, and like a lot of really like kind of good musicians. There's a real mixed bag, um, but yeah, there's a lot of like kind of like industry names as well down here as well because we're not that far from London. So yeah, there's been in the time that I've lived here, there's been a real kind of influx. It kind of comes in waves, especially during COVID. There was a lot of they call them like DFLs, down from London's, or filth failed in London. Try Hastings. But, yeah, and just the way that people work remotely now, you don't really have to be in the city.
Yeah, you just be from wherever and travel when you
Yeah.
need it. When you need it. Um, the what about things like crit group? Do you have a crit group that you meet with regularly? Is there a cohort that
Mm,
you participate with in that manner?
that would be nice. No, I don't. I used to do a writing course, which um, kind of gave me that a bit. But I mean, I'm lucky in the fact that I share the space with Jasmine, and I can always ask her stuff. But no, it would be nice to have that. Is that kind of a big part of
It's
your working practice?
it's not always a big part, but there are folks that I meet with on a regular basis, just to like get out and
Yeah,
meet and sort of interact of some sort. But it is not always a like it's not a I'm always in contact with them of some sort. But they're lovely folks. Let's put it that way, and I appreciate all the info that they give me and all the sort of insight they give. And some of them are super accomplished. Some of them are new. Some of them are trying to break in, etc. But just that idea of being around people. I don't know if I could survive if I had to sit in my studio all day and never interact with someone. It would be very, very.
Yeah.
Uh, I work from home for the illustration stuff. For the teaching, obviously, I don't. I go in for that. For the illustration stuff, yeah, I have a studio in my basement. I always have to stop and say a finished basement. It is, there's drywall and paint on the wall, and it's not. I'm not down with a bunch of spiders and mice of some sort, but it's still,
You're just underground.
yeah, yeah. I got little windows that are let in just a little bit of light, the tiniest little bit. But that's good enough for me. That's all I need.
That's cool.
With the studio that you're at, are there other people, like, are there studios in that area and like in the building itself, or is it just you and your wife?
No, we have a room in the building. And I suppose, I suppose you talk about Crit Group, but there's how many other illustrators in the building? There's one, two, three, four, it's like 4 or 5 other illustrators in the building. And like some of like my good friends and people who I can like bat ideas around with.
Yeah,
My good friend Ben Newman is in the building. He was the illustrator for a series, Professor Astrocat, which sort of sold a lot. You probably recognise his work.
yep,
And
yep.
Nina Cosford, Jay Cover. Yeah, and we've had Ali Graham. Like there's been a lot of other illustrators in the past as well, which have kind of they're there if I need to like pick their brains on something or just have a coffee, you know. And
Yeah.
I work above a coffee shop as well, so
Oh,
like friends who run the coffee shop and
I imagine that's dangerous, honestly.
I mean
The
it's strong coffee as well, so I mean you can get a bit too buzzed a bit too easy.
Yeah, the idea of having access to that. The equivalent for me would be having a burrito shop. Every day I'd be having a burrito, which sounds, good, but I have a feeling would not be the healthiest. Um, with having the studio space with your wife, are you working there at the same time as her, or is often you're in there and away?
Yeah, no, we're in together the vast bulk of the time, and it's just like one of us does like school pickup.
Yeah,
No, it's cool, and it just feels like it's not too stressful most of the time, unless we're like really overrun with work.
I see. My wife just yelled down that there's comments. I haven't looked up at the comments in a bit here, but she says that yes, we love Professor Astrocat. That she loves Nina Cosford's work too. I'm just going back. I didn't realize I missed a bunch of stuff here. Uh, but that idea of being in that location, I assume it's probably like the equivalent of what I have with my school, where it's I get to go in, I get to connect with a few people, and if I need to, I can at times and do my own thing and not have to worry about like always having to be on or what was it? Not necessarily on, but always having to be the high life of the party of some sort. I can disconnect at points and go into my office, or in between classes, I can shut down for a little bit and not have to be interacting with other artists and just do my own. Um, with with the work that you're doing on the books, etc. Is there a goal for like a certain type of book that you would like to work on? That um, obviously you mentioned the idea of like your own things, but if someone came to you and said like, "Hey, we're gonna pair you up with a writer or with a certain type of content, is there like a content that you would want more than others? Like, would you like to do more biography, history kind of things, or is there like a mystery writer that you would like to work with, or like those kind of approaches? Are you there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah. We just dropped audio for a second. It's okay. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, it's tricky. I mean,
oh, I think the audio dropped again.
back. Hey,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
yes. I can.
I think I'm having some charging issues,
Okay.
but and I don't know. I think everyone's vacating the beach now or something. There's something going on outside.
Oh wow, you can hear them. Yeah, I can. I was like, you're not.
I don't know. I think it's the foreign exchange students. They're going wild. Easy, lads.
Can you wait? You're upstairs from them right now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on like the third floor,
Okay.
and
You can't wave down to them and say shush or anything of the sort.
I wouldn't dream of it. It would only come back to me in a bad way.
Yeah, they would not appreciate your input at this point in time. Um, with the studio there, do you get um like is it I don't know Hastings enough to be able to say like, hey, this is what it's like, but is it a seaside resort type town, or is it
Uh,
a like just a city environment and there's or town environment and there just happens to be a crowd because of the coffee shop?
no, it's kind of like one of those sort of quintessential like English seaside resort kind of towns. So we've got like a pier and like dodgy old arcades and stuff. Um, and like back in the Victorian heyday of the town, it probably was that sort of place that people would come to from down from London for like their summer holidays and that sort of thing. But these days it's kind of a mix of like I don't know like gentrification and not and yeah
Mm,
it's a mixed place.
that's a the gentrification thing always is like, ugh, I don't know, as I like the school that I teach at, the whole area has become a little bit gentrified and it's lost some of its charm. But admittedly, better food has come into play. So
Sure.
they have more places to get burritos. That's all that matters.
Yeah, pros and cons.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, with the the work that you've been doing, is there shows that you've had of any of the illustration work, or is it um, only the ceramic stuff that you've been showing?
Only the what stuff I've been showing?
The ceramics.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think before I was having more of the publishing based work. I was just filling up my time by printing and making work and like self-initiating projects and yeah, I've exhibited a lot and like some locally and some in London, some abroad, and like with Bologna, um, I've always gone there because I've either been in the illustrators exhibition or this year me and Michael Rosen were giving a talk at the actual fair.
The when you got asked to give a talk, who requested? Out of curiosity, I don't know anything about Bologna beyond. It looks beautiful, and the work looks beautiful, but the actual like structure and how things operate is so foreign to me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's 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 interesting how they operate. It's a big task putting on the fair because there's. I've struggled to remember how many people attend each year. It's something like 50,000 people a day. It's crazy busy, and there's like so many different stands, and so I mean, I instigated us giving the talk, and yeah,
Well,
just
you can just do that.
well, because I'd been in the illustrators exhibition, I had one of the people up there's contact details, and so I just suggested that maybe me and Michael could give a talk, and they were up for it because yeah, he's Michael Rosen, and he's quite a
Yeah,
well
well,
respected character over here.
that's the idea of just saying, hey, I want to. I go, yeah, is pretty exciting to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's a big responsibility if they're to arrange that whole schedule themselves, and
yeah,
um, but yeah, they've had some really cool like headliners there, like I think um, yes, Sydney Smith.
mm. Oh, did we lose him again?
I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Sorry, every once in a while my phone says that's low power mode, even though I am charging as I do so. But I was just saying, it was really cool seeing Sydney Smith there a few years ago.
The there was did I just get when I was out at ALA, I got Sydney Smith's newest illustrated book, I think, called Rebecca, that's coming out. That is so pretty,
Yeah,
ridiculously pretty.
yeah, he's
Um,
really good.
I just told my wife, and this is I don't know if I should be admitting this. Um, the name Sydney Smith, I've always assumed for the longest time, and it's hard for me to get this out of that Sydney Smith was a lady.
I thought he was going to go there.
Yeah, and I don't know, like it must be because I've had students named Sydney, or I've had that sort of relationship to that name, and that
Sure.
they can't. Every time someone says he, I'm always like, whoa, wait, what? And I have to back. And there's a couple other people that are like that, where like I've only known them by name, never put a face to it, and so I don't know what Sydney Smith looks like. I don't know any of that stuff. But the work is stunning. Let's put it that way. Um,
Yeah, he's crazy good.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, trying to figure out all the little details I got to put in this thing, and haven't done enough to put the drawing in now. Um, how many drawings have you done already? This is going to be the thing that scares me.
Um, this is my.
Oh, I think we lost again.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. No, this is my fifth.
Fifth. Okay. I'm just the speed at which you work and the quality at which you work compared to what I'm slowly building up over time here is fascinating to me. Like how fast you can get stuff down.
No,
Um,
yours is looking nice, man.
I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to figure it out.
Who was this crazy Parisian dog?
Okay, you got Paris. That's good. There's no
But
Paris besides a beret, but I wanted Paris at one point, and originally he became this like uh, Irish pub guy because I gave him one of those. I don't know what those hats are called, but I think of them as pub hats. Um, newspaper boy, or I'm trying to think what there's a term for it. I looked it up, but but yes, I'm trying to give a little bit of a Parisian flair to it. Whatever.
he looks deranged.
He's a little crazy right now. He will become less crazy as time goes.
And I'm unsure whether he's gigantic, isn't he? He's gigantic. Those buildings in front of him.
Those are buildings in front of him, but he's got a striped shirt on that's becoming a street, and so there's.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it means of any sort. It just felt kind of fun as a image to play with for the day.
No, it's fun.
I sketched it out maybe I don't know, an hour before on the call. We'll see how it turns out in the end. Um, I do sketches for this stuff, but it's oftentimes a like not necessarily a rushed sketch, but a I don't go hard on this sketch. Very very loose of sorts. So I don't 100% know where I'm going until I'm actually making for the time. So we're gonna get there.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a progression from the original sketch.
Yeah, it's changed. Proportions have changed. Things like that. With how often do you get to actually make and just play?
No, not that often. This is quite nice. This is fun for me, and I feel like I can kind of I can put out a lot out in quite a short amount of time, but it takes me quite a long time to put aside that short amount of time.
Yeah. Is it meaning because of work, because of life?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Work life. I'm either wanting to, yeah, get on with work that is actually commissioned or that I know has an outcome, or I'm just like trying to be present at home, you know?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say you have an 8-year-old, which means like you're at the age where they're starting to do lots of activities, and like in the U.S. here at least, it's like, oh, that's for soccer practice, or that's time for violin lessons, or that's and so it's a lot of like getting your kids to locations versus when they're younger and they just kind of stay around of sorts.
Yeah. I mean, how old's your guy?
He is 13 now.
13. That's not young. That's a big guy.
He is a big guy. He has aged up a lot in the last year. But it's uh, that being said, he also is doing almost something every day after school. There's some after school activity, and so there's a lot of chauffeuring at this
Right.
point. and like, and I like to do it. I will say I'm happy that he is active in that stuff, but it has a lot of time sort of like schedules got a little bit more constrained in the last year, I think.
Yeah.
And so
Is
um
he into the arty stuff?
um I would if I he I would say no. He is an engineer of sorts. He is someone who is very like mathematically and smart with building and things of that sort. But the idea of sitting down and drawing is not something that he does in the same way that I did or probably that you did uh,
Yeah.
back in the day. It's very much a um, he does it when he has to in school, and outside of that, it's he'd rather build things. So like engineering class, or I forget what they call it, makers and designers or something class.
Right.
That
Like design technology.
yeah, so like 3D printing is cool, and solving things through mechanic stuff and whatnot is up his alley, and I'm okay with that. I'm actually happy with the fact that he is not going into the art. Um, and the joke is always that he will have something to retire on, so
Ah,
will hopefully that I can live off of his money at that point. And so I'm
that's
okay.
what my dad said about me.
Yeah. Wait, your dad said that about you being an artist, that he thought you would live off of your money?
Well, I told him that he'd be able to, but it's not really working out yet.
Yeah. There you go. That's the. I mean, we do okay as illustrators, and for the most part, I think illustrators do okay in getting a paycheck and whatnot. But I wouldn't say that there's a lot of security in it.
No.
There's a lot of you know, there's not always the hey, I'm going to save a ton of money and build up and have this a separate house in the country. That's not happening.
It's
Um,
unlikely.
yeah, but as long as everybody's happy, that's all that matters.
I mean, that's all my parents ever used to say.
Yeah, I have.
And yeah,
Oh, I was gonna say my brother makes a lot more money than I do, but I also know that his life is that much more stressful
sure.
than my life, and so like I'm okay with the idea that I don't make much. And as a teacher, I have summers off, and so I can't really complain too much about it life.
for
Uh,
sure.
so, I mean, as a
Yeah.
you're full-time freelance, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
I
like,
mean, like live life, like work-life balance, I think that's priceless.
yeah, just the idea of like at a certain point, I can just go, you know what, I want to go on vacation for the weekend, or not even the weekends. Like, there may be days where I just go, I want to go goof around for the afternoon at this place, and because it's a day that I'm not teaching, I can. And
Yeah.
so that's there is a benefit to all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I got to figure out how I'm gonna do this. Let's see the plane. Get a
Yeah. No, I've got some very wealthy friends, and I love them very much, but I wouldn't be able to do what they do.
yeah, yeah. I'm willing to make the sacrifice essentially. Say like for the lack of stress, I'm willing to get paid a little less in the end. Um, what did your parents do? Were they
Uh,
artsy?
no, my dad's an engineer. Was an engineer. He's retired now, but and like they both like stopped education at like 15. My mum was a secretary and then worked in a supermarket. And yeah, my dad just worked on production machinery most of the time. Um, and I think he's very much enjoying retirement now. But I feel like he probably worked a lot on jobs that he didn't necessarily love, and that's most of his life.
Yeah, that's the challenge. I mean, at this point, even though some of the jobs are tough that we do as illustrators, for the most part, I can say I enjoy it. And I know that's not the case with a lot of the work that's out there in the world. I always reference the coal miners. I don't have a coal miner job. I walk up and have coal in my lungs at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I do it sometimes. I mean, you probably have charcoal. Charcoal that gets in. You're not
It's
that.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They used to when we were in college. They used to call it black snot, where like you would have drawing classes all day. At the end of the day, you'd go to blow your nose, and it would just be charcoal that would pour out.
sure.
And it's one of those fun things, one of those really nice, quaint things about being an artist that you get to experience.
Well,
Um,
it killed Bob Ross as well, didn't it? All that terps.
did it? Is that? I don't even know how he died.
I
Is that?
think so. I think that there's definitely theories that all of that brush smackery he did after playing with the spirit. There's a lot of
The fact
airborne spirit there.
he made it uh, aerosol, or he atomized it, and all of a sudden it's everywhere. I didn't even think about
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. And he really enjoyed that sound.
yeah. That tapa
It was
tapa.
quite a sensory thing for him, I think.
That was a. He was sort of one of those folks that I would tune into when I was a little kid, but now like it's so much more fun to watch as an adult and like really sit and appreciate how calming he
Yeah,
as a.
he's great.
Did you have him on TV over there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I watched a lot of TV when I was a kid, and we had Sky, so like cable, and yeah, I can't remember what channel he would have been on, but it was like one of the rerun shows.
Wait, is that what Sky TV is? Is cable?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what you call cable.
Huh. Okay.
What is
I
cable?
yeah. I've heard Sky TV. I didn't realize that it was like distinctly a cable thing. Like I
Yeah, you had to have like a satellite dish.
oh, interesting. Okay. I mean that makes sense now that you say it, but it's we watch a lot of like comedy shows and things in the UK, and most of them are on BBC Four. That's all I know, and I don't know if that means like it's a specific type of station. But we are. I'm a big fan of the show Taskmasters
All right.
or Taskmaster. There we go. Sorry, I don't know why I put it pluralized it. Um, but and some weird like comedy shows and dramas and whatnot out of there, and I feel like they do a better job. A lot of the comedians that we like end up being from there for some reason.
Right. Who's
Like,
popular?
do you know the guy James A. Caster?
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. I think he's so funny. He may be an absolute jerk. I don't know, but
Quite likely.
yeah, he's a weirdo, and so I like the weirdo side. Um, with what you mentioned early on that you were a band, or that you wanted to do art band stuff, and you mentioned, I think I could be wrong, but I think you mentioned sort of like folk music of the time. Is that the kind of music that you listen to in general?
Um, I mean, not so much now, but like, I suppose like still like band music and stuff. Um, I think it was just the fact that that was what was popular at that time.
That was
But
just era.
yeah,
I see my wife wrote. She wants to know. What is she? How did she phrase it? What is this awesome drawing of someone eating a chair? So this is the moment where you have to explain yourself, because this came out of your head for some reason. And why are we drawing a person eating a chair? Oh, we lost.
I'm back. Hey,
Okay.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying I didn't see it going here, but when my kid was little, he used to like biting furniture and stuff a bit, and yeah, I just thought it'd be quite funny to draw him eating a chair.
Is your kid a termite?
He's like part woodlouse.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. He's got something in him that craves some sort of furniture.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, possibly.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do all of these details on this. Look at it. Okay. Um, the the challenge of not knowing exactly where all this is finally getting. I'm not sure how I'm going to draw to get this to work, but we will get there. I know you said that you don't get all that often to sketch and play and things of the sort, but when you do, is there a type of work that you do more so than others, in the sense of, like, do you like just sketching, or is it the ceramics? What's the sort of go-to if given the time?
Um, I think I'm just as happy just like working in a sketchbook. Just it all feels like drawing. It's all ideas, but drawing is my favorite thing. And just like I don't know, I think there's an immense pleasure that I get from starting something and not knowing where it's going to go, and then being surprised. Or I think the fact that I've just been doing this for long enough, that I just feel very comfortable in that space.
Do you get out into the world and draw in the sketchbook often, or is it a like studio practice?
I keep sketchbooks, but I don't work in the sketchbooks in the studio. Um, and I always used to love like going on little trips just on my bike around London, and drawing. And that's I feel like um, I feel like it forces me to draw in the way that you forced me to draw tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
it's having that prompt, that kind of that push to create that I need, and leaving the studio can sometimes be a more productive thing than staying in the studio.
Yeah. That's I don't get out often enough and sketch in a sketchbook, but to be honest, I don't sketchbook. If I did, I would probably bring out materials and just make on site. But it's one of those things, just not a practice that has become part of my world. But I like to play with materials, and that oftentimes means studio. Um,
What's your like go-to material?
for sketching or for making in general.
Well, either.
I mean, I'm basically a paint person. I think paint is always going to be involved in some capacity. The question of, how I apply the paint, but I think sketching is hard for me because I don't much. And so unless I have access to be able to play with color, and I've tried the color pencil sketching, I've tried some watercolor on site, but I also like paint that dries fast, and uh, I would destroy brushes easily if I was out on site drawing and making that way. So I tend to use the studio, but for the most part, yeah, just some paint and some colored pencil and some. Uh, that's probably the heart of all of it. Odds and ends that I will put in as depending on the project. Are there materials or like a method that you have always wanted to try that you've never had the chance?
Um, hmm.
Like my wife just sent me a thing about a print technique that can be done with relatively simple supply, and then it becomes sort of like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. One, I don't know if I have the time or patience for something that is process oriented like that. But is there, look at your work as a whole, are there you look at and you go like, oh man, given the time, I'd love to open up a can of whatever material and play with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love. I really love different printing methods like etching, like hard ground etching. Not so much lino, but I love monoprinting, lithograph, and all of those things. Um, and I think it's sort of because I also love monochrome. I love that you can just work on a plate and just do black and white really like strong.
Wait, monochrome, is that the same thing as monoprint?
No, no, I'm saying monochrome, just like black and white.
Oh, okay, okay.
But monoprinting. Are you aware of monoprinting?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that I suggest to students oftentimes who are trying to like potentially get into um, printmaking with their illustration because it's more drawing
Right.
adjacent, put it that way. And so that's sort of the go-to. But I've never. I guess I've done it ages and ages ago, but I've not done it in so long that I might as well say that I haven't done it.
Right.
Where is the color that one? That's good. Okay. So tell me a little bit, sort of going back into the school side of things, the type of classes that you were taking, especially like if you didn't know that you were going to end up in this career, and your sort of experience would become what it is. Are there things that you took that were sort of influential into making you as an artist today?
Courses.
Yeah, or
Um,
thought process, or I guess
sure.
that is sort of how do you come to your aesthetic? How do you come to knowing who you are as an artist, what you want your work to be?
Um, I mean, I think in A level, I took psychology, and it's something that I still really care quite deeply about, and I listen to a lot of like psychology podcasts when I'm working, and I think I think empathy is something that I really care about in my work, and also I don't know. I think a lot of the times in my work, I am maybe not always overtly, but kind of dealing with um, like things like anxiety and like before working as an illustrator in my art. I think I was dealing with um, issues of like relating to mental illness sometimes, and or doing so in a subversive way, or I don't know. There's always been parts of my work which have related to, I don't know, like my experiences growing up in like a household where you're aware of mental illness, you know, and just like family experiences and stuff. And it's not easy to talk about these things, especially when like you've still got family who are still with us and everything. But it's something which was quite fundamental to my upbringing, and I think it has had a big influence on my work.
Is
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. With the work that you know, when you mentioned that idea of you would like to be able to just pitch things and then someone gives you the green light and you get to make. Do you think a lot of that work would be more personal, or do you think that would be like, what kind of work do you think that would mean?
I like the idea of making work which almost verges into like the realm of like magic realism. So having elements which are very much true and real, but then that kind of that disconnect of where your mind goes in certain situations, or just like interludes within stories,
Yeah.
skits and things like that. And I'd love to make work where it could be that idiosyncratic and have elements of humor, but also distressing things as well. And I don't know, taking work in that kind of like being like a director of a film, but through book form.
Do you, out of curiosity, thinking about the direction that you want to go and the aesthetic that you have, is there some sense of, and I this is a challenging question in my mind a little bit at least, but the idea of style, or the idea of who you are and what represents you aesthetically, is that something that, because you are a little bit more like to play, does that mean that you like, do you consider yourself to have a style, I guess is the best way that and I hate the word style, but I'm going to use it in this instance.
Yeah, no, it's loaded, isn't it?
Yeah.
And some people have a real aversion to that. And also on the flip, some people want to find theirs so badly. Um, but I think it's always quite difficult to be aware of your own style. I
Yeah.
think you almost need someone else to see it at points, but I'm very much aware that I work in a certain way, and I think from sitting with some projects for quite a long time, it's kind of forced me to kind of commit or just learn to do things in a certain way. Like I feel like the way that I use negative space has changed a lot in the last few years, and it's somewhere that I feel really I get a lot of enjoyment, like playing with the negative space first before doing the linear elements. But no, I definitely have ways of working which kind of equivalent to a style for sure.
It's one of those things where, like, because like there's folks, myself included, sometimes that you fall into the trap, um, sort of having icons that represent what I do. So the equivalent of like, um, this is the way I draw noses. This is the way that I draw faces. This is the way that I draw whatever it may be.
Yeah,
Also, folks who are much more fluid with that, where they may not draw a nose the same way every single time.
yeah,
That kind of side of things, and um, I always respect when someone can really like make that leap without hesitating or without sort of questioning themselves too many times, uh, because it's, one, not something that I do on a regular basis, and two, I just think is like fascinating, the idea of just bending you to meet the client without any sort of expectation of right or wrong in that situation, or expectation of what has come before.
Yeah.
And so when I look at your stuff, I do think there's like this sense of um, the ability to play and twist and turn without necessarily having to match, a previous. Let's put it that way, because of the fact that you play with such sort of a sketchy, loose sort of approach. Um,
I
I
think that it's something that comes from drawing from life. And I think when I was doing more stuff where it was very much in my head or creating imaginary work, um, like stuff based from imagination, that's when you make those decisions, and that I think almost in the way that you're talking about style, that's where that comes from sometimes. Whereas when you commit more to saying, I'm going to try and put myself second and put my subject
first, yeah,
first, and like you never truly do that. Well, maybe you do sometimes, but it, I think when you have that intention that you want to try and put the subject first, that's when you grow sometimes.
yeah, yeah, and
And I
that,
also feel like that's kind of the same thing that I was saying before about how I used to feel about taking on commissions. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, regardless of what the commission was. Whereas if you're put in that position where you have to make those compromises to do the project to the best of what it could be, or to represent whatever it is you're representing the best you can, you have to kind of put yourself second.
yeah, that's the. I think that's a hard ask for like a lot of early illustrators, specifically, sort of let go of perception of what you're supposed to do and just be you, and to get rid of. I mean, I asked you like sort of who are the artists that you really like and things of the sort, but to be honest, you're past that point where you have your own thing. But early on, I probably would be a little bit more hesitant with people because it puts this pressure on them to sort of live up to their heroes, or to
Yeah.
to mimic in a way that I don't think is always the healthiest, um, of sorts. I had a student years ago who was really struggling and having essentially artist block, or whatever you want to call it. And I went into his studio and he had pictures of all of his favorite artists' work up in the studio, and I had to tell him to take it all down because basically he was sitting there just staring at his heroes. So
Yeah. That's
I'm
tough.
and it's like, why put yourself in that situation? Um,
No, that's interesting.
with
Because
with
yeah.
oh, go ahead, please.
No, sorry. I was just going to say I think that maybe that is a strength that I have in a way that I don't feel like I've ever really idolized anyone that much. And it's been the playing which has brought me so much satisfaction that I just want to play. I just really want to enjoy the materials, enjoy the process, and to make work without trying to emulate something. I'm just really I'm trying to have a good time and make work that I'm proud of. But I can just as easily like list like singers who I like, or like post-war expressionist painters and printers whose work I like, compared to other illustrators. And I never feel like I've really hyper-focused on any illustrators as such. I feel like everything is up for grabs for inspiration, really.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me ask you this then. Outside of what people would assume, or even what you have said already as your sort of heroes, is there somebody that would really surprise us in the sense of like, like I don't know how many people would understand for me, but there's a guy named James Buddy Snipes who is a fairly prolific folk artist, uh, who would sell his work on the road and whatnot. And I love his work probably just as much as any other artist that's out there, but it's not something that shows up in my work all that often. Like people aren't sitting there going like, "Oh, I see you have this like folk artist vibe to your work of any." And so, are there artists you sort of that are in your arsenal of heroes that people go like, that's a weird one,
Um,
came out of left field.
I mean, like, I really like Oscar Kokoschka and like Bonnard, Otto Dix, like these guys who were printing and painting sort of like around World War Two and after that, and it's like varied work, but just kind of figurative painting. A lot of it. I don't know if that would shock anyone, but it's just stuff that I came across when I was like 17, and I hadn't seen anything. I hadn't really seen any art
Yeah,
that had really hit me until that point. Yeah, it made a big impact. But I think also just having like a really good A-level teacher was just very inspiring.
who just like introduced you to and the my one of the folks that I swear to this day was one of my favorite teachers when I was in school was actually a jewelry maker, and I
Mm.
made jewelry of any sort, but um, he was just so exciting to listen to and was very invested in class, and so it was very easy to get wrapped up in like, oh, he's exciting, this is fun, I enjoy hearing from him on a regular basis, and sometimes that's all you need is just someone who's like engaging to
Yeah,
sort of to get your head wrapped around sort of like what why be exciting of sorts, and same thing with a familiar um, art maker outside of that, like just being in front of a painting that sort of gets you inspired. It doesn't matter sometimes whether it is a painting or if it's something that's akin to what you would normally do anyways. It just has to get the, it's a vibe thing. Let's put it that
mm.
way. Um,
I feel like I used to really like when I would get a teacher. Like I had a few times where I had a teacher who was like a male role model who just made nice things. That was always really exciting, or had like a sensitivity to them. I found that quite enriching.
when you
Just
say made nice things, meaning like you just thought their work was cool.
yeah, like made. I mean, like this happened with like female teachers as well, but like I don't know. I think that kind of growing up in like the 80s and 90s in the UK, if you weren't into football, if you weren't a kind of like sporty boy, you were just I felt a little bit shunned in a way, and kind of growing up in like kind of a working class um, like village, but I didn't really know like what options there were for me.
Yeah,
But going to college, this is confusing because like college for us is like what you do the 2 years after secondary school. So you start college at 16 and you finish when you're 18.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's our junior senior year basically.
okay, cool. Um, that was just like such. Like, I feel like I've had like growth spurts in my brain at points, and that was a really big one for me. Just kind of being introduced to cool art and yeah, getting a bit of sense that there might be like a fruitful like life to live with art. You know?
I get it. I get the terminology is funny. A fruitful life. Um, with so I'm gonna. Well, let me double check and make sure Uh, I'm just checking the comments to make sure I didn't miss anything. Um, one of the questions I have on here is that or one of the things I do, I call it cultural corner, which is basically me not knowing enough about the world and being a dumb American. Oh, by the way, we're sorry. Also, I'm sorry about the world and what has happened because of us.
It's
Um,
not cool, Mark. You're one
what?
of the good guys.
Yeah. It's not me.
It's not
I
all you.
um, but tell me a little bit about sort of like the easiest way to ask this question is if I were to go to Hastings right now, if I were
Yeah.
to go up, I understand London, but Hastings. If I show up to Hastings, what's the first thing I got to do?
As an American or just
As
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 as a visitor?
as a
Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
As a what? Sorry.
I said as a visitor.
As a visitor.
Right.
Okay. Well, if you need the toilet, you should go to the toilet. No, what should you do? I mean, I'd say it's a very weather dependent town. So if I mean, regardless of the weather, maybe you should just walk down to the sea first.
Okay.
It's probably the first thing you should do. And especially if you're coming from a space where you're not familiar with having the sea there all the time, just because at least it gets your bearings as well. You know,
Yeah.
if you get off in St Leonard's and you go east, you're going to go to Hastings, and if you get off at Hastings and you go west, you're going to go to St Leonard's. And if you get off in Hastings, you go down to the old town, which is very quaint, full of lots of little pubs and independent little shops and shit, and you'll have a nice time. Go get a coffee or something. But no, it's just nice. Like my friends who live down here either kind of tend to run independent businesses or they're freelance creative types. That's sort of my circle here. There's lots of nice stuff to eat, and you're a foodie, aren't you?
Uh, I like food a lot, but I like bad food. So like
Right.
I like if you said, hey, we're gonna go have like some beautiful high end meal. No, I'm good with like if it's a good pub food, like that's the kind of stuff that I would want.
Yeah. I'm not a highbrow foodie guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a lowbrow foodie guy.
I like food, but I kind of like I like really good value food as well. I get off on having something which is just like genuinely good, not because of like the price it is,
Oh,
or like or that it's like Michelin star or something like that. My favorite place in London is Master Ways, and it's just like really good Chinese big fat noodles, and I could just eat there all the time.
there was a when we were in Ireland, there was this kebab shop that was down the road. It was a short distance to get there, and they made this like chicken kebab thing that was to die for. And I don't know if I'll ever get my hands on it again. But it was one of those ones where like it was cheap. I mean, it
Mm.
wasn't cheap, but it was cheapish. But it was that probably was not healthy. But man, oh man, I could survive off of that. Uh, that
It
kebab.
tastes good, but you don't want to know what's in the kebab.
Yeah. Well, they had a thing that was called garlic sauce.
Oh, garlic sauce is great.
Yeah, and no one that I knew on the trip had ever experienced it before. But then when we got back to the States, it was a mad dash to figure out where can we buy ourselves garlic sauce because it was so good. And I don't even know what's in it 100%. But whatever it is, they put garlic sauce on fries. And oh man,
Oh, it's banging. I like
that
the garlic sauce, but I like it when they have like a thick chili sauce that goes with it as well. It's almost more like a chili puree.
mm, that's yeah, it's special. It is not something that we have stateside, or at least not on the regular. We had to order. We did a little event when we got back for the students because it was a trip for school for the students to go to Ireland and make art there. When we got back, we had to order it special online. Not like something you just get in
Wow.
the, and it has some ingredient in it that is not a common ingredient. I think is what the issue was.
It's like krill or something.
Yeah. It's probably some horrible like ground up teeth or something like that. That
Oh, I love that teeth.
yeah. I don't. It was some spice. I don't remember what the was, but man, oh man, I want that so bad right now. I shouldn't have mentioned that because it is a craving at this point.
Well, I might have some garlic sauce chips on the way home because it's late. It's dark out now.
Yeah, in honor of me, please have some garlic sauce on the way home.
I will toast a chip to you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, how late is it there right now? Because it's 7 hours later. It's almost midnight, right?
It's 10 p.m. just gone.
Oh, it's 6 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, no. 6, is that right? No, it's 5. It's 10 o'clock right now? So it's only 5 hours different? That's great.
Right, yeah.
Okay. I thought where you were would be like 6 hours or 7 hours, but for whatever reason, I believe you.
I promise it's 10 p.m.
Okay. Yeah.
22 o'clock.
I will trust you at this point, but next time don't lie.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I am actually getting pretty close to being done with this one here. I'm surprised I've moved as fast as I have. Sometimes these take me a long time to figure out how to manage them, but I'm just in like finishing details for this weird little guy. How much when you sketch, you're all traditional with sketching, I assume, right?
Yeah. Well, like rather than any iPadery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never got into, as I said, the iPadery so much. I have an iPad, but yeah, I just like, I prefer paper.
Well, the question I was going to have is like when you're doing the book projects, like especially something that's long form, do you
A lot of paper.
do you wait until the end to sort of like see how it all comes together, or like do you like when you made that book, did you use InDesign or something of the sort to sort of see how it was going at any point?
I don't do InDesign, but I just keep kind of looking at the original pieces that I'm working on, and then yeah, well, once I've done the first spread, I like bump it down to a JPEG, and that kind of becomes my blueprint for where I can go with the next spreads.
Yeah. So you do have some method of sort of looking at the totality
Sure.
of what's there. Okay.
And almost like after I've done a few spreads, I'll be like, well, there's this amount of variation, and that's as much variation as we can allow for consistency's sake.
Yeah. To make sure you're not going too hog wild. What about with something like, especially with the Altzack and the idea of the what was I going to say? Oh, aesthetically, from page to page. Like one of the things that I have found has been problematic in my own work is that I have to always really be cognizant of how much I change aesthetically through a long form project.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, especially because that one's even longer form, and you have this big sort of reveal. Excuse me. At the end.
Especially.
Thank you. Is there? Do you have ways or methods to prevent an aesthetic shift? Let's put it that way.
To summarize, do I have methods to
prevent the first page looking wildly different from the last page?
Right. Yeah. That is annoying. Sometimes I've actually started a project a few pages in to try and deal with that. But it's difficult. It is difficult, and it's something that I kind of just wrestle with a little bit. And I might, because I've done all of like my scamps, all of the roughs have been done for the book before starting on the finals. I might I feel like through those, I have a good sense of what what the outcomes are going to be. Like, there's enough information in the roughs that it dictates what the finals are going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult because you kind of, yeah, I think you were saying it earlier that once you've like done so many spreads, you kind of get in a rhythm, and it's it's a shame to think that you haven't necessarily found that rhythm with the first ones.
Yeah, or just I don't even like know if the rhythm is something that I actually want, or
Right,
or of a I get in a rhythm because that's just production. Uh,
right.
wish I could like sort of separate myself from it in some capacity.
Yeah, I, I mean, I'm kind of talking about rhythm in the sense that you just know who your characters are,
Oh, okay, yes, yeah,
and it's just that kind of that flow state where you've got the right amount of confidence to be able to do what you need to do, rather than feeling too stifled
yeah,
by what could go wrong.
yeah. You're not staring at a blank page, going, where do I go from here?
Yeah, who is this guy?
Yeah, which has
What do
happened.
you want?
I know that's happened a few times for me, but um, I definitely like the the scare of a blank page is uh, for some people very daunting. In fact, I used to when I painted, I used to always paint in the subtractive because I was so afraid of a blank piece of paper. Uh,
Yeah,
I shouldn't say afraid of, but I was nervous about where to start and the how I would mess it up of some sort.
no,
And
totally.
I was pretty good as time got on with sort of solving that concern. Um, I think I'm at a point where I don't want to touch this one anymore. I'm pretty happy with it, and so
Cool.
I
I
may.
think I'm happy with this being my last guy.
Okay, well, we can jump ship, and we can. I know it's late there, and you have a. I assume your kid's already in bed at this point.
He better be.
Yeah.
If
If he,
he's not,
yeah.
I think they tuned in for a minute back there,
Okay.
but he
If he
better be asleep.
if he's not, you got to save some of those the garlic sauce chips and just eat them in front of him, and just say, if you had gone to bed, I would have saved some for you. But not anymore. Um, well, I'm going to switch back to the camera then, and or put the camera back.
Me
I
too.
wanted to talk
This one.
about here. Um,
I have a confession that I derobed while I was working, so I'm going to re-robe.
okay, yeah, yeah. This is yeah. I have my hair in curlers. I yeah. I got my one of those one of the like masks that people wear at night. The like jelly masks on their face.
Oh,
That's
sweet.
uh,
The Korean ones, they're good.
yeah, yeah. So this has been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed sort of getting to know you, and I am, as I said from the start of this, huge fan of your work, huge fan of your aesthetic, huge story, all that stuff. Um, is there anything you want to promote? Is there anything coming out that people need to know about, or an event of any sort?
Ooh, I don't think so. But Shoo Shoo, that's the big guy.
Okay.
That's out at the moment. Um, yeah, and any prospective publishers, if you would like to acquire the rights for Le Homme aux Très Longues Jambes, or as it's in the Netherlands, De Man met de Longe Benen. It's a beautiful book which I'm very proud of. I'd like to get this out in some more territories.
What's the English title?
The Man with Very Long Legs.
There you go. Okay, I was gonna say you rolled those. Do you speak French?
Un petit peu. Not really, not very much, but I try and learn the names of the foreign rights
Okay.
editions.
I have a couple of foreign rights ones, but they're like in languages that either I would horribly destroy, or it's literally in different symbols, like the letter forms are totally different, and I don't know how it even is. Well, this has been lovely. I'm glad that we got a chance to connect. I'm glad we got a chance to talk. I know that my wife has been following along, big fan as well, and so this has been great.
Yeah, nice talking to you, man. And let me know if you ever find yourself on the other side of the pond. You're very welcome.
There is, we're trying to get over that way, not necessarily to England, but to Ireland again for teaching. But if we do, I want to see if I can stay a little longer. I've never been to England.
Cool.
So I want to go visit. And if I go to Hastings, first thing I'm doing is going to that, checking the sewage chart.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. Check the app.
Yeah.
Check the app. If there's crap, it's a no-go.
Yeah. Anyways, this has been lovely, and I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Mark.
All right.
Take care, buddy.
All right. Bye.
See you, mate.
So real quick before people jump off, I want to say who's going to be on next week. We are having Mark Martin on. Mark Martin is, I believe, down in Australia. He did this book lots. He did, this was one that I absolutely loved. We bought this ages ago, before I even knew really who Mark Martin was, but called A River. And there's one page in this that I have to share that is my favorite of the entirety of this book. And it's because of the color palette. This color palette is beautiful. And then, of course, he's done stuff like Dawn. But he's going to be on next week. Otherwise, you all go have a lovely evening. And I will see you on Thursday. And I believe that Thursday is at, I think that's an 8 p.m. Because he is in Australia to match the times. And so that'll be a late night one, for me at least. Otherwise, you all have a lovely evening, and I will see you next week. Bye.